It's amazing. But and I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. I'm very grateful to be here. It's a little bit quickly about me. Y'all know my name, but for the video's sakes, I'm Jason Lanier. I'm honored to be here at Tri Community Photography School here today. I shoot all over the world. I feel very, very humbled and blessed to be able to do what I do. I am a full-time photographer. People ask sometimes. I don't have another job. Thank goodness. Those days were the most miserable of my life. I shoot a lot of landscapes. I've shot in five different continents. I shoot a lot of wildlife. Shoot a lot of panoramics and landscapes. And then I incorporate what I do into the different types of photography, as I'm going to show you guys. I incorporate that into all the different areas of photography that I do, which primarily consist of weddings, pinups, and I'll do some children here or there, mostly if a previous client asks me to. It's not something I market too much just because I'm pretty busy with the other stuff. So I'm based here out of Southern California. I have some real fun trips coming up here. I'm flying out to Detroit next week to go shoot and get accosted and probably arrested in some of the abandoned buildings. I do really crazy stuff. I've shot inside of Six Flags, New Orleans, got busted by the cops. You know, my kind of thing is if you haven't been busted by the cops, you're not really a photographer. And then later on this month, I'm flying out to Ethiopia with my team to do shooting there for a foundation organization. It's going to be a really tremendous opportunity. But before we get started, let me ask you guys this. Who in the room, how would you guys describe yourself? And you can just do it by raise your hands. Who in the room would describe yourself as primarily a landscape photographer? There's lots of you. Who would describe yourself as primarily a wedding photographer? Okay. Who would describe yourself as a pinup photographer? All right, then I'm children photographer. Well, what the heck are the rest of you guys?
All kinds of people, so I do all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do all of that. But I do mainly headshots.
Headshots with a gun or?
Camera. Yeah.
I shot in Africa, and I was sitting at the airport when I was leaving, and I was talking to a guy. He says, "What are you doing out here?" And I said, "I was shooting the lions." He says, "Yeah, me too." He says, "I had one stuffed and everything." And I said, "No, dude, I did not do that. I don't believe in killing a majestic lion." Well, what we're going to talk about today is really how you incorporate the fundamentals of landscape photography into all of the different areas of photography. In my ever-to-be humble opinion, the art of photography is eroding away. I truly believe that. I truly believe that with the advent of digital photography, the vast majority of photographers coming into the market are lazy. One thing you're going to learn about me is I don't pull any punches. I'm going to tell you guys what I really think the industry is. I'm going to tell you where I think it's going, and I'm going to tell you how I feel I am almost counter-programmed to that. I have to stay off social media and photography forums because I will really start to, my wife will tell me, "Jason, get off of it, just get off of it." Because I'll start to, I would say, have conversations with people about the lack of effort that we have in our industry right now. You know, there's a lot of people who shoot only natural light. You'll see in my photography, freaking love natural light. Can it be the only answer? Absolutely not. Now, if you do a certain type of photography and that's the only one you do, yeah, it could be. If you do primarily landscapes and you just want to shoot landscapes, then you're shooting natural light. But I always ask people, you know, well, when you're in the middle of a reception hall, it's dark, they shut off all the lights, it's the first dance, and you don't want to use video lights and you don't want to use flash, what do, Mr. Natural Light, other than shooting ISO 12,500 and their faces look like Legos? Right? What do?
Bump up your ISO, put on a 2.8 lens, and hold steady.
And shoot it like a 15th of a shutter and then have that ghosting. And you can just try to convince the client it's special effects. It's hard, right? Who's to tell me I'm wrong? I always tell people, yeah, there is a right and wrong way to do photography. Not your artistic expression, that's different. But the way in which you capture images, there needs to be a fundamentally sound approach to how you do that. There is a technical side to photography, and I feel that that's being lost. I teach workshops all across the United States, and I meet so many photographers. I'm not just saying this because it's just the world according to me. I teach hundreds of photographers every year, and the vast majority, and it's okay if you guys don't know it's okay if you fall into the class that I'm going to talk about. I'm not making fun of you in any way, but they don't know how to shoot in manual. They don't know how to use their flash. They don't know how to use their lenses. They don't have a clue. But they're charged, and if you're learning or it's just a hobby, no big deal. The problem is if you're charging people money and you're passing yourself off as a professional and you don't really know what in the world you're doing, you're asking for trouble. And if you screw up, you deserve to get sued. You do. Because you're screwing up somebody's, let's talk about a wedding, you're screwing up somebody's once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right? When photographers tell me, oh, well, I just got sued, what'd you do? Well, it was dark and my flash didn't work, and I don't want to hear it. You really, really need to know your stuff. So we're going to talk about those things today. We're going to talk about how the industry can really improve, and how I'm going to really challenge you guys and gals to be part of that revolution of change. Part of that, okay? It seems like all I see in wedding photography these days are, let's shoot right into the sun, let's get some lens flare, let's blow out the skies, and we'll just call it indie vintage. Right? Whenever I have people come to me and we'll have a consultation, I'll say, go on to 90% of wedding photographers' websites, there's no pictures at night. There's no pictures indoors. Shouldn't that tell you something? What I'm trying to express to you guys in brief before we get started is, as a professional photographer, I truly and wholly believe it is incumbent upon you, it is required of you to be able to fulfill your client's needs. I want a client to come to me and say, Jason, I want to go shoot inside this cave. Okay. You guys may think that's a ridiculous example. Well, you can ask my assistant. We've gone down into the depth of a cave and shot. We swore that we found Gollum living down there. I mean, it really was a huge cave in the middle of nowhere, and we shot until about 2 a.m. I've always challenged myself to, I want to be able to shoot in any situation. See, when I went into just professional photography, you know what my biggest fear was? It wasn't failing. My biggest fear, it wasn't failing myself, it was failing my client. My biggest fear by far was someone coming to me and saying, I need you to do this, and I was terrified to say, I don't know how to do that. So I've done a massive amount of free shoots. I've done a massive amount of practice. I shoot more than anyone I know, and I still do that to this day. And that's going to be my challenge to you guys as we go through. So we're going to get started a little bit here. We're going to go through a variety of images right now, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of homework. So as we're going, guys, I'm going to show you a variety of images that I've shot. And as we're going, what I want you guys to do is to look. I want you guys to watch and write down or remember your feelings and the words that you would use to describe your adjectives for landscape and wildlife that you're going to see, for the weddings and for the pinups and the fashion images that you're going to see. I want you guys to think about that. I want you to look at where there are similarities, or if there are similarities in the images. And I want you to tell me what the differences are. Okay, we're going to go through that a little bit once we're done. So let's go through them real quick. How would you guys describe your feelings on landscape photography? What is it? What does it represent? What makes landscape photography work?
Stories.
Stories, absolutely. What else?
Right place, right time.
Yeah, we're going to go through that. That's definitely part of it.
Right combination between the highlights and the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them had dramatic skies.
Yes, and that's very much a staple of my photography. Mood, yep. We're definitely going to talk about that too.
Good clients.
Say again?
Adventurous clients.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Not to mention adventurous photographers.
Okay, most of them were shot early morning, late afternoon.
Yep, yep. Except for some of the wildlife ones.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Looks like you applied some kind of a textural finish to a lot of them, so they're slightly hyper-real as opposed to just true realistic.
And cheap.
Interested in some of the texturing as well.
Sure, sure. Yeah, my paintings, my work has been described as having almost a little bit of a painting look to it.
Yeah, it's almost like realistic painting.
So I have a question for you guys, because I know my answer to this, but I'm curious about yours. Do you see the landscape? Do you envision it before, or do you just find it when do you just capture it when you find it?
50-50. Sometimes you know where you're going, being there at the right time. You know that.
Sure.
And sometimes you go, oh, neat.
Sometimes you wait for a shot. You'll go and you know what you want to shoot, and you'll sit there and wait until the lighting's just right.
Can you see it though? Can you see it in your head?
Most of the time
I always think the world looks better in my eyes than it does in real life, because I kind of see the world for the way that I want it to be. How's the exposure doing on that? Is that good? All right, awesome. Always got to check. If the exposure's off, the shot sucks, I'm going to stop talking.
How do you take yourself out of the situation so you can see what your viewers can see and not what you're feeling as well?
I don't care what my viewers see.
Okay.
My landscapes are 100% about me and the way that I see the world. And hopefully there's a few people out there who like what I see. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to be flippant with my answer, but yeah, I think, you asked such an interesting question. The most frustrating thing for me as a newer photographer was I could see what I wanted. Had no idea how to get there. You know what I mean? I could I can see it's going to be amazing and beautiful, and then I would get my shots home and I'm like, these suck. I mean, these really suck, right? I'm very honest with myself about what I was able to do. So I understand what you're saying, and for instance, there's only some ways that you can really capture the whole breadth of a scenario through time-lapse photography. Time-lapse photography is my new venture right now. Don't tell my wife, I've just invested thousands of dollars in some time-lapse gear. But my wife is so funny. She comes home and I have to try to get home before the B&H photo boxes come. No joke. Ding dong. She sees me and I rarely run. Ding dong. Is that B&H? Is that UPS? And of course I do tell her, but I guess the point is I have learned, to answer your question, some of the things that I see can actually only be captured through time-lapse. And I think the best way to describe it is I am the most annoying person if I'm trying to learn something, meaning I won't stop. I won't stop. I'll be up for 48 hours on YouTube looking at videos. It's one of the reasons I put so much out on YouTube, because I know how important it is to try and learn. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is you got to find the right medium to capture the emotion, and we're going to talk about that, but capture really what you want to convey. What do you think wedding images represent? Maybe my images or wedding images in general, what do they represent? How would you describe wedding photography?
Freedom.
Freedom? That's interesting. Many photographers wouldn't share that feeling. You got to do this shot, you got to do this shot, you got to do this shot. Best thing you can ever tell a client when they say, do you do lists? And you say no. But if you want to assign someone to do it, that's fine. And then they'll never do it. Best thing you could do. Yeah?
Basically, I have to find the right client first that likes some style, but then it has to be a mix between what Mom wants and the art of the day. And I seem to have found the right clients every time. So I'm able to express myself artistically while showing their day in a once-in-a-lifetime way.
I'm doing a wedding at Disneyland tomorrow. And I just spoke to the bride yesterday, and she says, we're going to do a first look, and we're going to go out to the pool. We're going to take the bridal party. I said, no, you're not. What do you mean? I said, I don't want them there. I said, they'll ruin it. Oh. Okay, so it's just us. That's right. See, what you guys got to understand, and I understand what you're saying, because if you followed me for any length of time, you'll know that I do what I call mom shots. And I'll do a few shots that I know that will appease the mom. But I tell my brides right from the get-go, this wedding's about you, not about your mom. And if your mom has an issue with that, she can come talk to me. It's not that if you ask my clients, the moms love me. But it's because I set proper boundaries. Because moms can destroy weddings, even more than brides. Absolutely. Mothers-in-law, oh my gosh. I want a shot with Aunt Bobby, and I want this, and I want that. Well, get out your freaking point, shoot, and take it. Now, if it's during group shots, I'll take it. Now, I don't want to convey that I wouldn't do that, but the point is, I don't ever relinquish control of my shoot, because once I've relinquished control, now I'm liable for what happens. Because I'm the one who let go of control. I'm the one who let go of the car while it was going 60 miles an hour, right? What else about weddings? What are the thoughts? What do you guys think? If you look at my wedding images, how would you describe them?
I mean, they certainly do look like painting. I mean, that's the first thing that strikes me.
I think all my stuff does.
Different look about them.
Yeah.
And so on.
Well, when I went into photography, I said, you know what? I didn't purposely go for the painting look, but Norman Rockwell was an inspiration of mine. And so, I got to be careful what I say. I'm trying to be more careful with when I speak to not insult people. But Norman Rockwell is an inspiration of mine. And I just knew that I wanted my photography to be something that someone could take a look at. Oh, that's a Jason Lanier shot.
I like how your images are like, they're these huge images with these beautiful landscapes, but you never lose sight of the focal point, which will be the bride and the groom. It's like you don't have to look at the image and look for them. They're there, right in front of you.
That's through lighting.
It's just amazing, spectacular how you do that.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's like you capture the personality of the bride.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I noticed with each bride, it popped.
Mm-hmm.
It really popped.
Thank you. I think when I meet a client, the first thing I say is, tell me who you are. Oh, well, my name is Bobby. No, tell me who's inside of you. Are you guys sexy? Are you silly? Are you romantic? Are you funny? Are you goofy? Are you shy? Who are you? And who do you want to portray yourself as? It's the single best question you can ever ask a client. And I learned this the hard way. You notice a lot of my shots have a fun look to them. Now some of them are, this definitely isn't fun, right? This is more of a sweeping, beautiful, more romantic type of shot, right? Some of my shots are sexy, some of them are romantic, some are silly, all the things that I just described. And I went and shot a bride and groom about 4 years ago. I did their engagement shoot, posted them up on Facebook. Everyone loved them. Huge likes, all that stuff, shares, all that stuff. Bride calls me, she says, I'm worried about you doing the wedding. What are you talking about? She said, the shots are great, but you did a really funny shoot with us and we're not. Yes, we're fun, but we don't want to be funny. I said, well, honey, who do you want to be? Romantic. And I told her, well, sweetie, look at my portfolio. I can do romantic. And I told her, it's my bad. I should have asked you that. Now, in all fairness, I shot with them for 2 hours. They're doing all the goofy stuff. They could have said something, right? But at the same time, lesson learned. Lesson learned. Ask a simple question and avoid all the problems. How else would you guys describe wedding photography? Do you see any similarities with the landscapes? Yeah.
Well, it's got to have kind of a journalistic aspect to it. You're recording a specific point in time that you're not going to be able to go back and reshoot.
Absolutely. Tagline of my company, you only have one chance to get it right. If you guys approach photography from that standpoint, and not just with weddings, if you approach that photography from that viewpoint, it will change the way you shoot. It will push you further. It will make you wait longer. It will drive you to learn more and be a better photographer if you approach it with that mindset.
It's like having to tell a story in pictures throughout the day.
Yeah, Larry shot with me, and I tell stories when I shoot. I tell tons of stories. I'll say, okay, and you'll see, I'm so full of crap, right? And I'll just sit there and say, okay, so here's what's happening. And I just make these things up, right? I have triplets. I have 3 little boys. They're 11 years old. And I tell them stories all the time, right? Bunch of ridiculous stories. That's all I do to my clients. Okay, so He's standing over there, and you're just coming down the aisle, and it's the first time he's seen you, and it's romantic, and it's sexy, and you're going to run to him, and you're going to leap up into his arms. You have to sell it to them. You have to tell them what they're going to do, right? If you don't, they're not going to do it. It's truly that simple. And wedding photography, that is it in a nutshell. You have to be in control, 100%. I never relinquish control. Ask anyone who shot with me, never, ever, ever relinquish control. And I also just very calm at a wedding. Ask my assistant Joy. She's seen, seriously, weddings blowing up. It's like a nuclear bomb went off, and I'm sitting there whistling zippity-doo-dah. It's not that I don't care. It's because I want to convey that I have a very calm demeanor. And the only thing I've said to my brides over and over again that's really helped situations is I've always said, no matter what happens, your shots are going to be awesome. Yeah, but my brother just punched my uncle. Doesn't matter. Your shots are going to be awesome. Yeah, but the makeup artist didn't show up. That's fine. Sue her after the wedding day. Put a smile on your face. Your shots are going to be awesome. Yeah, but my dad's not coming because he's boycotting it because I'm this religion and the bride's blah, 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 this religion. Doesn't matter. Your shots are going to be awesome. If you keep repeating that refrain, your clients will calm down. If you go nuts, or if you have a manic look on your face, I'm telling you, you can be the single biggest source for your wedding clients having a successful wedding. The single biggest source. To your bride, the only person that matters at that wedding is the bride. Okay? You make the bride happy, the groom's happy. You piss off the bride, the groom wants to murder you. It's a simple way. Because if you piss off the bride, you've now screwed up his honeymoon. And that's not going to put him in a good mood. You guys understand? All right. What about pinups, feelings? About feelings, pinups, and just fashion. How would you describe this?
It's not everyday life.
That's very true. Girls just don't run around in tight outfits and sit on the sides of fences. Blow bubble gum with Cracker Jack, right? You're right, that's not everyday life.
I feel like there's an entitlement to every fiction.
What does that mean?
Entitlement, when you I am entitled to this water bottle because it's mine. I know it's mine, so I'm not going to let anybody tell me it's not. I'm entitled to sit on this bench, and this is where I'm going to sit.
That's a great way to describe it.
I think it's certainly fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always sort of a story, and they tend to be sort of whimsical, sort of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different approach to your traditional pinup.
Yeah. Whenever I'll ask one of I started doing pinup because brides, there's a lot of, boudoir photography is very popular. And, there's a lot of brides who don't want to do boudoir, but they want to do something because it's their wedding experience. So I said, well, why don't we do pinups? And I would explain what pinup is in my category, right? It's not naked, right? So I think that's where I started actually doing pinups, was because of that.
Well, their poses they're not every day. Like if you walked by that girl right there, you would look at her and go, what the heck is she looking at?
Right.
Why is she looking at it? Why has she got her head turned like that? And that makes it a real unique picture.
Thank you. That's critical, what you just said. Because it tells a story, right? Because, see, someone should look at your shots, guys. This is critical. He hit on something that's so important. People should look at your shots and wonder what else is going on. There should be, oh, I wonder what happened there. Like you guys saw the wedding shots where there was the buggy and the Volkswagen Bug and it was broken down, right? I have a whole collection I did on that. It was about a 70 shot collection, and I run through the entire breakdown, and it's called The Breakdown. But there's a story to it, right? We run through everything from them first breaking down. I was lighting little firecrackers under the car, and when the fuse would hit, they would blow up and it would put smoke out, and I would run back to. I didn't have an assistant. I was in Maui, and I'd light them. It was about 5 seconds. I'd run back and shoot, and I had about 5 seconds to shoot while the smoke was going. And I just shot it. But we told the whole story. So the bottom line is, like you said, I love having people look off camera. She looks straight at the camera. It's neat, but I don't think it really tells a story, right? And you'll see me do this all the time. The bride will be here. The groom's here. You guys got to tell stories with your images. Stories are what make. it's what makes your shot a piece of art rather than a snapshot. Anyone can take a snapshot. And you guys should write this down. If your shots don't look different, and if you can't tell stories that the average Joe can't, then you're not really being, I was going to say something different, then you're not really succeeding as a photographer. If you can't tell a story, you're not doing what you should be doing. Photographers are storytellers. Okay. All right, so between all these genres, what are the similarities that you saw in the... Yeah, go ahead.
You said that you have the right to put up. You didn't tell us what it is. What's it?
Great. Clothes on.
That's simple.
Pretty much. Does that help? Well, it means no clothes. Well, okay, I'll further define it. They're wearing clothes. Second thing is, well, because people will ask, right? Because some people pin up is nude, right? Not for me. With pinups, for me, it's their clothes. It's a genre. It's a certain time frame. It's a certain hair. I want to go back to the 40s and 50s. That's what it is for me. Okay, so I don't have the picture up anymore, but it's a matter of capturing that time and that time. You know, when I really first started doing it, I started studying the paintings from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I just love that look. I think it's such a neat look. And when I shoot girls, I'm looking for a body style, to be candid, that is a little bit more voluptuous than some of the typical models that are in the marketplace today, right? I don't want stick figures. Guess the best way to put it. I want them to look like a woman. No offense to any stick figures in the room. So that's how I would define it. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Awesome. So what are the similarities you saw through just some of the genres, guys? What are the similarities that you saw that went through all of the different types of images?
In each and every one of them, it told a story. And you had to think about, when you look at the photo, well, what's going on, even with just the animals, you know,
Yeah.
the elephant, was it charging? What was it?
Right. I love to hear that. Thank you. I love the fact that you guys got that. That means a lot to me. Many times, those were shot in the Kruger National Park in Africa, and my wife, no joke, made me take out another $1 million on life insurance before I went. It's bigger than the country of Israel. It is, and over the course of 2 weeks, most people take like the big safari trucks, double deckers. Not exaggerating. I went to Dollar Rent-A-Car and rented a Nissan Versa. And I went alone, and I lived off of Cliff Bars and bottled water, and I would go out and shoot for 16 hours a day.
Wow.
16 hours a day. And you're not supposed to get out of your car
Without a guide.
without a guide. Nobody with me.
How did you find the wildlife?
Let's just say if there was a hippo in a pond, I would walk towards the hippo a little bit, piss him off, get back in the car.
I don't blame you.
I have some stuff of it. There was a leopard where that's one of my videographers, Jason. There was a leopard where Jason was, and I'm sitting in my car, and the Versa is like, you know, this height of the ground. It's made for Joyce, and I couldn't get a shot. Piss off. Leopard's in the bush. So open the door and stand up. Still can't get the shot. I'm so stupid. I'm like, come on, leopard, come over here. Photographer hat, not man with any sanity, right? And I walk a little bit closer, and it ran away. You know, but you guys, you'll see. I'm going to share. You'll see snippets from a video. I mean, I've shot grizzly bears with about 50 grizzly bears in Alaska, this close to me and Harry. No joke.
Christmas.
Yeah. Well, if I die, my wife's richer than she is now. What are the similarities did you guys see? Yeah.
Well, actually, Mike touched on an interesting point. A lot of portrait photography, you're going for a very shallow depth of focus to pull the subjects out. You're doing condos. And I've noticed a lot of huge depth of focus from right from here to the
Yeah. And that's because my work is based off of the fundamentals of landscape photography, right? However, these guys who shoot with me will tell you there's a lot of times even at 16 millimeters I'm at 2.8. Just a matter of how you compose your shot. Because I need light. I'm a light junkie. Say again?
Are you bringing a lot of light to it almost for a shot?
For the landscapes, it's completely natural light. For weddings and pinups, it's almost all reflectors, off-camera flash, video lights. I keep kicking you.
It's okay.
Play footsies with you. But
Maybe some of it will rub off on me.
some of it will rub off?
Yeah.
There you go. Actually, the running joke is the fedora is my secret power. If I take it off, I'm shooting in automatic mode again. But no, it really makes sense, guys. And what you have to do is you have to understand the fundamentals. What I want to really convey to you guys is this. Landscape photography is the hardest photography to do, bar none. Shooting wide is the hardest type of photography to do. Why would I say that?
Because maybe there's not any, the focal point isn't easier to find.
How hard is a composition when you're shooting wide? What are the things you have to worry about? Distractions, trash. If you're shooting wide, 16:14, full frame, right? If I'm shooting right here, how's this shot screwed up if I'm shooting right here? The bottle of water is going to look like this big, right? Going to get lens distortion, right? It's easy to shoot tight. I don't care what anyone says, because I do it all. It's very easy to shoot tight. Well, easier, let me put it that way. Now, I'm not trying to demean other types of photography. I do other types. But if you guys can focus on your landscape photography, the fundamentals of your landscape photography being incredibly sound, the rest of it's going to be a cakewalk. Maybe not a cakewalk, but it'll be 10 times easier. See, I cut my teeth on landscape photography before I ever got into anything else. And when I was asked to do a wedding, which I was volunteered for, by the way, when I was volunteered to do a wedding, I didn't want to do it. I did do it, and I ended up loving it. Don was there, shot my first wedding with me. And actually, it's not compared to what I do now, but it turned out okay. It turned out pretty good. But I wanted my landscape photography to come through in all of my images. People always tell me my skies are fake. I hear it all the time. Oh, sky replacement, fake skies. No, I didn't think it was that novel of a concept. I don't think I'm a genius. I just exposed for the sky. What's so hard about that? Right? You set your contrast point. Make sure your clouds come out. Your clouds come out, your skies are great. What do we see in all wedding photography now, guys? Blown out skies. It is my #1 pet peeve. The world doesn't look like that. Now, if we want to go high key, if we want to blow out the sky in a few shots, no problem. But the problem is photographers these days don't know how to do anything but that. They don't know how to do it, and that is a travesty. It's lazy photography, and I have absolutely no patience for it. You guys want to make more money, do what most people don't do. You want to be a full-time photographer, not a weekend warrior, do what most people don't do. Don't follow trends, be a trendsetter. It's easy to say, guys, but people book me based on the fact that my skies look so dramatically different than any other photography they see. I get skies. Okay? All right, so, well, real quick, what are the differences between all the genres? I'll give you an easy one.
It's certainly subject matter.
Sure, right? In some, the subject is something that could murder you like a lion.
Right.
In others, it's a bride who could also murder you. Okay? What else, guys? What are some of the differences? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in traditional landscape, you usually want to pump up your saturation, and you wouldn't want to do that on, say, a close-up of a person, because your skin's not going to look right.
Right. I can tell you that technically I shoot 100% the same for all of my different genres. And they'll tell you that. Now, I add light, but from a white balance standpoint, which all of you guys should be using Kelvin, don't use the auto, don't use a stupid little icon, waste of time. Shoot in Kelvin. I shoot full manual, I never shoot priority, shutter mode. I could tell you guys the acronyms that I have or the things that I have for all those different modes, but probably wouldn't make it onto the video. They're just junk. If you're shooting an automatic, don't be a photographer, because you're just doing point and shoots. Seriously, it's a waste of time. Does Jeff Gordon drive around in a little automatic?
I don't think anyone here shoots automatic.
Good. That's fantastic.
We learned that from the very first class on it.
Good. I'm really happy to hear that, because that is not a common theme. Many people don't do it. And at my workshops, I teach people how to shoot in manual in 30 minutes. I mean, compared to the film days guys, we're light years ahead. Take a picture, it sucks, change it. Live view it, look at how it's changing. You can see it change. So, okay, so these are my 5 fundamentals for landscapes, okay? And you'll notice that the last 3 have nothing to do with technical acumen. Okay? First thing is lighting. I don't care what you're doing, what type of photography you're doing, but especially relative to landscapes, your entire focus should be on lighting. If the lighting's off, don't take the shot. Don't take it. Waste of post-production, waste of everything. Okay? And I'm going to get into these individually, but composition. Okay, you want to have your composition right. Okay? You want to make sure that what people are looking at is technically sound. Actually, it's funny, when I go to my workshops, it usually happens by one workshop attendee. At each of my workshops, they'll say, Jason, show me what you see right here. Help me understand what you're looking at. The most important thing you guys can do for composition is knowing where to cut. Okay? Knowing where to cut, because you're cropping in the camera. Don't, for the love of everything holy, don't tell yourself I'm going to crop in post. What a freaking waste. Okay, cropping in post, 2% of the time it works, but get it right in the camera. Okay. Patience. There's so many stories I could share with you about patience, but I'm going to go through these individually. Perseverance and soul. So let's get into the first one. Lighting. Okay. This is the Oak Alley Plantation out in Louisiana. Lighting is everything, guys. And I know you understand that, you hear that. But when you take a shot, when you go out to do a shoot, I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, but I literally will not shoot if it's not the right time. I will not. I'll see so many photographers, they'll take a shot. I was in West Virginia shooting. It was an absolutely stunning sunset, but we were faced the wrong way and the composition was off. There was nothing in the foreground. There was no subject to the image. Without the subject, when people show me shots and it's just a shot of a sky, it's boring. I don't care how amazing the sunrise or sunset is. There has to be something that draws you in. There has to be a link between what you see in the sky and what's down below, right? I'm getting ahead of myself, but the lighting has got to be right. So if you shoot with me, what you'll always see is I look like I'm lost. I'm always doing this, right? I'm always spinning around looking for light. When I'm doing a shoot, I don't do that garbage of shooting right into the sun. Now sometimes it's cool, don't get me wrong, but I'm referring to how people are always shooting into the sun. That's the only way they can express any artistic endeavor, is by getting that little bit of lens flare. Do it for a couple shots. Do it for a majority of your shots, but know how to shoot away from the sun and expose, guys. It's super simple. You wait till the sun is not dead in the noon of the sky, and it's a huge, huge, beautiful light. It's a video light. You shoot into them, they're gorgeous. You know what my shots represent? Knowing when to shoot. That's what they represent. That's why the lighting is so good. You shoot when you're supposed to. I tell my clients, if you do it at this time, your shots are going to suck. And I do talk to them like that. Now, by that point, keep in mind, I have a relationship with them. And I'll kind of put a little laugh in my voice. Well, if you do it that time, I'm just telling you, your shots are going to suck. Well, what do you mean? See, now I've scared them. I love doing kind scaring of my clients. Okay? Well, what do you mean? Well, if we shoot at that time, then if you shoot high noon, you're going to have raccoon eyes, right? Yeah. I tell them, light's going to hit your head, it's going to cast a shadow right under your eyes. So unless you want to look like you just got beat up, we better not do engagement shoot at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the only time I can do it. Okay. Just so you know, we have two options at that point. We're going to shoot you indoors, or you're going to look like you got beat up. Can't you do anything? Well, I can add some fill flash, but you're probably going to have hot spots on your forehead and on your arms, on any area. If you at all sweat, anything that glistens, you're going to be a hot spot. It's going to be blown out. And if I underexpose to compensate for that, the shot's going to be completely black, right? I am a huge proponent, when it comes to lighting, I'm a huge proponent of explaining things to my clients. Stop running away. I cannot tell you how many times I've had clients tell me, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Thank you for letting me know. And guess what? If I tell them and they ignore it, if the shots don't come out, it's their fault. Right? Now I'll tell them, well, if you want my skies, we need to do it at this time. If you don't want my skies, then okay, fine. I'll blow out every shot, but you're going to get all the blowout shots. Oh, I don't want that. I didn't hire you to get blowout shots. Well, that's why we can't do it at 1 in the afternoon. So get that lighting part right, guys. As it relates to landscapes, know when to shoot. Right? A lot of the animal pictures that you saw, see, because in Africa, for example, the predators come out at night. So you either have to shoot them close to dusk and or you shoot them very, very early in the morning. Because it is legitimately dangerous, you have to stay in a rest camp that has an electrical fence around it. So they don't allow you out for two reasons. Number one, it's dangerous for you. Number two, they're trying to mitigate poachers, right? They want to know who's in the park. So I knew if I was going to get the predators, I had to do it early in the morning. Because lions, after about 9 o'clock, they're going to go find a bush and hide. They don't want to be in the sun. Right? So I had to understand that if I was going to get lions, right? And I would have to hope that the light was right. And sometimes it sucks when you have a beautiful view and the lighting blows. Now you might think that that it's ridiculous that I wouldn't take a picture of a lion if the lighting sucks. I won't. Because I know I'm not going to use it. I know I can't be here in front of a group of photographers sharing images if the shot sucks. I really approach it that way. I used to stop and take pictures of everything, and now I take pictures only when the lighting's right. Okay? Composition. It's probably the single hardest thing for most photographers. Well, composition and lighting. But understanding where to cut. Okay? Especially when you are in a scenario like this where you are in a clump of trees, right? This, what you see here, this is, it was a very foggy day and the sun was behind the fog. Okay? To get the composition right, I knew I had to cut right here. And I knew, see, with these leaves, the leaves could come up, but I didn't want any leaves from another branch coming into my frame. You seriously, you know how you'll see people, you know, like in the movies, they'll walk around and they'll go like this and go like that. Makes me laugh every time I see that. But seriously, just the single best piece of advice I can give you for any type of composition, because we're talking about how landscapes bleed into regular photography, is you truly need to understand you need you need to stop. Stop. Okay, there are so many times when I was earlier on in my career, I would be shooting, and it was gorgeous. What I was seeing was fantastic. And I would shoot. And I would get home, I'd tell my wife, because my wife's my partner, and I'd tell my wife, oh honey, oh my gosh, it was awesome. Right? She'd go, oh, okay, hurry, I want to see the pictures. Then I get in my office and I'm editing like most photographers at 2 a.m., right? And I can't tell you earlier on in my career how many times you heard this. Well, you'll hear this noise. Oh, I can't believe you did that, Jason. Right? I got too engrossed in the moment and I lost sight of what the shot needed to be. In other words, I was seeing it, but I wasn't capturing it. I would see it with my eyes, but then what I took was wrong. I would cut off their legs. I would put their, if I was shooting wide, you guys know I shoot wide a lot. If I'm shooting wide, I would get this limb too close to the frame. Man, shooting wide, you've got to really know what you're doing, especially when you're adding people into it. Your composition is everything. Okay, you got to get the composition and the lighting. You get those two, you have an amazing image, truly. Okay, especially as it relates to landscape photography. Because really, here's the key, guys. You guys already know where I'm going with this. You get this part right? When I go into any given image, I'm going to go into this a little bit later. I probably shouldn't jump ahead, but the bottom line is I add people into my landscapes. I'm so focused on the landscape portion of my photography. Before I add the person, the subject, anything, I get it right. You'll laugh. If I think that a lion is going to walk into the frame, I set up the frame. And I just pray that he walks into it. Or an elephant, or a grizzly bear, whatever it might be. I'm hoping. And that is luck. The luck part is the animal walking into it, but the skill part is being ready when he does. That's how you build your compositions. Stop. You guys, and I do intern programs. You guys can intern with me if you want. When you see me shoot, the very first thing you'll see me do is I get to where I'm shooting, I put my camera down. If you guys do this, it will improve your photography dramatically. I set my camera down and I walk around and see, okay, what do I want to capture? Because if I don't, that camera's like cocaine to me. I've never had cocaine, but to me, it's the equivalent, right? I can't help myself. I want to take the picture so bad. But I'll put down the camera and I'll actually say to myself, because I've learned lessons, I've taught myself that because I've screwed up so many times over the years, and I say to myself, I'll literally say this phrase, okay, Jason, what is it that you're trying to capture? And I'll have a discussion with myself, really, what is it that you're trying to capture here? What do you want to convey? And then I'll start to see things that I'm really missing in the shot, right? The other reason I do that is because it lets me know what I need to choose for my gear, right? Am I going to shoot at 105 macro, which I shoot a lot with? Even though I shoot wide, 105 macro is one of my favorite lenses for people too, and animals. Okay? Or am I going to shoot at 16? Or am I going to shoot with a variable zoom lens? You know, you guys have to understand that. So if you guys start to approach it from, first, I like to think of myself, I'm not nearly in good a shape as Arnold Schwarzenegger used to be. But when I walk into, you know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator movies would walk in, and it would go, and it would, you know, his eyes would say, you know, enemy, friend, or whatever, packing a gun. I like to walk into a scenario and do that. I like to survey and let the scenario, let the composition speak to me. I'm not trying to get all hippie on you. But the bottom line is I like to let it talk to me and tell me, this is what this needs. If you approach it from that, instead of imposing your will on it, your images are going to be that much better. Does that make sense? You guys have to get the composition right. So we've done lighting and composition. Patience. This is the Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. This is the castle that Walt Disney patterned his Snow White, his Sleeping Beauty castle after. Okay, I went there to shoot. Now you need to understand something. When I go out on one of these shoots, it's completely on my dime. And by the way, one quick note: you guys want to get out there and travel the world, start shooting weddings. Don't be a snob. Weddings will pay for everything you want to do. All these trips to Africa, all this crazy crap that I get to go do, break into Six Flags, all this great stuff that I get to do. It's because I do weddings. And as my career has progressed, now my landscapes are selling. I just had a museum in Tennessee they're going to do a whole exhibit gallery based on the shots that I did in Six Flags. But the bottom line is, guys, I only did that Six Flags shoot because I had weddings that pay the bills to go. So anyway, the reason I mention that is because I fly all the way to Germany. My whole sole purpose, I was there for about 9 days, my whole sole purpose was to get a shot of this castle. Now this castle you can't get to in your own car, which I'm very autonomous. I always want to take my own car, but they block the road because they want to, you know, mitigate traffic. So I go there, and I call my wife. I Skype her, you know, every day, of course, with my sons. And I said, she'd say, how'd it go today? It rained. Oh, okay. Well, good luck tomorrow, honey. Oh, thanks, babe. Next day. What happened? Oh, it rained. Next day. Oh, it rained. I know. I can sense it. You know, like you feel anxiety on the back of your neck. When I usually tell my wife it's been a 3-rain day, nonstop, I can hear the, oh, okay. It's one of those, so you're away, I'm taking care of the triplets, and you're just sitting in a hotel room while it rains. Because guess what? When it rains, that's what I do. I get caught up on all my Netflix. Now, truthfully, I'm editing too. But my point is, if it's not, back to my rule, if it's not a good shot, I don't take it. Now, if it's not too hard a rain or too bad of conditions, I go out and scout. Actually, that's what I do more often than not. But the bottom line is, I don't take it unless it's a good shot. So, talking about patience, I'm sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And I had to tell myself, I purposely booked a tiny little room at this little bed and breakfast. Because the minute the sun even started to peak or the rain stopped, I wanted to hop on the bus that you had to take to get up there and then to hike up to the castle. I wanted to be ready. So I waited 5 days for the rain to come, or the rain to stop. I saw, okay, the rain has dissipated a little bit, right? I seriously ran to the bus, got my gear, ran up, got this shot. Took about 35 minutes to get up there. Got the shot. No joke. After about another 20 minutes, pouring down rain. So it's a matter of patience, right? And not goofing off. See, when I'm out on my own assignment, I don't do work for other people. Meaning, I don't go out and shoot for National Geographic or anything. Why? National Geographic is great, don't get me wrong. And all those types of organizations, I would never relinquish rights to my images, ever. They're too personal to me. I wouldn't want, because, I think Don was telling me a story. One National Geographic guy got a really great shot of a moose or a caribou or something, and then Caribou Coffee bought the rights to that shot. And then the photographer walked by, he's like, that's like a shot of my caribou, and now Caribou Coffee and he doesn't get paid for anything, right? So I would never want to relinquish rights. That's why I don't shoot for other things like that. When I get approached to do it, if they want rights to my images, then the answer is no. So the bottom line is, don't forget your question. When I'm out, I take it very seriously. Even though it's only my own job, I take it very seriously to not screw around and to be patient and to be ready when that shot presents itself.
So you said you had about 20 minutes to get that shot.
Yeah.
How many shots did you take in that 20 minutes? You just take a few that you got and you're happy, and then you leave, or it was?
No, I'll wait. In a situation like that, I waited. And one thing that I would recommend as a photographer, sometimes just enjoy the moment. Get a shot, and then sometimes sit back and say, man, this is awesome. Yeah.
Do you use a tripod?
No. I shoot 99.9% of my shots handheld.
What lens was it again?
That's a 16 to 35.
And do you go down to 16 and 22 on your apertures?
No, that was probably at about 4.
What do you usually do?
Usually it's in that range, about 4 to 8.
4 because of the lighting.
Yeah.
More light.
Mm-hmm.
And a fast.
Because back to my rules, if the lighting's wrong, the shot sucks, so I don't want it anyway. What other questions do you guys have?
Tripod?
No.
No.
I only shoot tripod if there's absolutely no way to do it handheld.
You can shoot raw?
Absolutely. Why would you ever shoot in JPEG, guys? Don't do it. Yeah.
Would you go into a little bit of, say, like the filters or effects or the editing that you do?
I'm not going to tell you everything that I do because that's my signature look, and that would be counterproductive to my brand to tell you all of my trade secrets. I will tell you this, and this is not just a BS answer, and I'll tell you it's the truth because those who have been to my workshops many times, their images start to look like mine, and I don't tell them how I Photoshop. So much of how I achieve the look that I achieve is through my shooting and my lighting. When you come to one of my workshops, guys, your shots will be darker than they normally are. Most people overexpose their images by about 2-3 stops. Okay, everything that I do is focused solely on light. It really is. And the basis point of all of that is the sky. If my sky's not good either, even if there's light, if my sky's not good, I won't take the shot. So if this castle was here, but then there was no contrast in the sky, I wouldn't have taken a shot. You know what I would have done is I would have taken one so I could send it to my wife and say, see, I tried. Lighting sucked. Yeah.
You graduated
Nope.
density for your skies? No.
And the reason why is because if I used a graduated neutral density on this, right, it's going to screw this up. I've used them, but they just drive me nuts. Because unless you have a really even horizon, like an ocean, great. And you have real steady hands or a tripod and you can put it square on there, great. But otherwise, no. Now, while I use neutral density filters to, if I'm shooting a waterfall and I want to slow it down in the daytime, sure, absolutely. If I want to get that flow, and then I want to go up to f22 and then maybe go to half second or a second or 2 seconds, depending on if you're in the sun or if you're in the forest, absolutely. But no, I don't use a split or anything because of that.
Polarizer?
It's interesting. I hardly ever do. I have nothing against polarizers. I truly don't. I mean, they can be very beneficial, but I don't like how I can't really see. They darken what I see. So, any other questions?
Do you use Photoshop and Lightroom, or is it?
I do. I develop. All of my images are developed in Lightroom, and then about 5% get Photoshop. Everything you've seen here is Photoshopped and Lightroomed. And I edit through Lightroom, so I'll hit Command-E. You guys probably know that. I hit Command-E or Control-E, Lightroom, pull it up in Photoshop as a PSD, edit it, and save it back down.
Yeah, you're saying on your white balance you don't use the icons, that you use the Kelvin. So how do you determine your Kelvin?
I just look to see if it looks good. Now, truthfully, your Kelvin's going to be typically between 52 to 6,000, unless it's really cold outside. So, but no, that's typically my range. There are times I've shot and I'm like, dang, I'm at 38. You know what I mean? Does everyone understand Kelvin? If you don't, raise your hand. I can very quickly explain it. Kelvin it's not on all of the cameras. I wish it was. It typically tends to be in the cameras that hit the $1,200 range and up. They discriminate. They're holding back, so you guys have to get a more expensive camera. But a Kelvin is a scale between 0 to 10,000. Obviously, 5,000 is right in the middle. So what you're doing is the higher the number, the warmer the image, and your tone. The lower the number, the cooler the image. It will change your photography if you use Kelvin. Don't rely. I don't care how much Adobe tries to tell you. I've tried. When you get that little, selector in Lightroom, you have to select a section of the image, a pixel. It's never as good. It's never as good. You can mess around with your tone, your saturation, all that, the temperature. It's never as good if you get it right in the camera.
Oh, question. In this image here, what made you determine where your cutoff points were?
Oh, great question. I wanted this to be balanced. See the balance in the image? Mm-hmm. See the balance between the height there and the height there?
Okay.
That was completely, I wanted to bookend the image.
That leads on to an interesting point. I noticed a lot more of your images had the center image in the center than is conventional, and yet you make that work. What are you doing that's different that makes that work?
Because I don't put people in the center?
No, you do put more people in the center than I would normally expect to.
I don't know if that's true, because I put a lot of people out. It's actually one of the things I advocate at my workshops.
And that's the non-commercial thing, is you put them on the PowerPoint, but
I noticed
there
that
were quite a few people that were sending, and yet the image, every single time that you did, the image worked, and I'm not sure what you're doing differently that makes it work. This one I can see the symmetry, so it kind of makes sense. But
Sure. No, I totally understand. How do I make it work? I don't know. I wish I had some techie smart answer. I think the bottom line is, especially as you're looking through a wide-angle lens, you have to get the people right. You have to look at, truly the tilt of that lens is everything when you're shooting with those people in the middle and or in the left and the right. Because if you get the tilt wrong, if you get the distance wrong, the shot is butchered. But I think it all boils down to understanding and implementing. Back to what I said, I think to be a little bit more technical with you, I said my approach on the photography is really stopping and saying, what do I want to get? If you guys saw the picture of this one with the Camaro speeding by, that's not Photoshop. That's not super effects to kick up dust. That is 100% real.
It's actual dust.
It's actual dust. I'm huge on that, right? And you'll see I have a tiny clip of it at the end. The car's driving by me at 55 miles an hour, and it gets this close to me. No joke. Because I am certifiably insane. But it drove right past me. So to answer your question, when I set up this shot, right, it truly is, I stop. I can't express to you how important that is. I stop and say, okay, I want to get this shot. And I knew I don't want this Camaro. There'll be a shot of it later I can show you. But I don't want that Camaro to get past them. I want to see the whole Camaro. See, just understanding the little nuances like that on how your shots can be better, right? If this Camaro goes past her, I'm dead, right? Can you turn on the lights real quick? Okay. So this shot, right? If, number one, I do want to say this for the record, I don't remember her dress being this high. After the fact, I was like, I really wish I didn't pull it up that much. That's actually the truth. And it was so funny. I told that to my wife. She goes, why? I really like it. I'm like, okay. Well, Joyce likes him like that. But a couple things about this shot, okay? First and foremost, I'm obviously about right here for this image. I have to be incredibly careful to not let his leg get longer than hers. Okay? Does that make sense? Second thing that's incredibly important is that the angle of the car that comes around, if the car drives right past me, it's not going to work, right? I'm not going to get the side of the car. And there's a video on my YouTube channel of this entire workshop. This was taken at a workshop. Of this entire thing, and you'll see me, oh, Harry was right there too. Yeah, Harry almost died. I had to keep telling him, Harry, get on this side. Seriously, I was like, Harry, go over, you're going to get murdered. Okay, Harry. Yes. But the most important thing on this was having the car angle. So he drove past me and then swerved to get the shot. These are all things that we discussed to be able to capture it. Before I'm going to have him speeding past me, for example, and you'll see this in the video, before I put the bride and groom in there, I stood there. And I said, all right, Vanden, drive right past me. And he drove past me, and I started taking test shots. Because I'm setting up my frame. So the first thing I do is I set my exposure for this, right? I get my exposure of the landscape. Okay?
So you did the sky as well then?
Yeah. Well, this is the most important thing. Okay? Then, I add the car. I add all my elements. The car comes by, right? When the car comes by, I have to make sure, okay, and we did probably 4 or 5 test runs, and I said, okay, if you go straight, it's no good. You have to fishtail it. So then we got the fishtail part right. It's about building a house, right? Building your shot. Then I added the couple without the thing, and we had a 6-foot reflector. And I think Squirts was holding it. That's Steven. And he gets the reflector to get the lighting right on them, right? Why would I not use flash? Flash would have worked for power-wise, but why would I not use flash right here?
I think it was too artificial, that situation.
It could, but there's another reason that I'm mainly thinking of.
You don't have light in the ground as well.
Could, but there's another reason.
Shutter speed?
Now onto the light.
Shutter speed is part of it, but
The car would have been blurred.
there's one very fundamental reason. Yeah.
I think it would be coming from a different direction than the natural light, wouldn't it?
It would, but there's another reason.
Recycle time.
Yes! I did not want to get the perfect shot and then my stupid SB910 doesn't fire. It's a great flash, but they can't fire all the time. If you want a really great flash that fires all the time, get a Pro Flash. Best one's on the market.
I've seen the video of that. Now, after you've done all of that, how many times did it take to get that shot right there?
We did this in, back me up, 5 minutes.
Yeah, after a set, once you bring people in there, maybe 3 or 4 more takes.
And we just did it for kicks and giggles. I'm telling you, because of the process that I take, because I first take a shot, because I literally will do that. I'll go and say, this is literally what I would do. I would walk and say, okay, this is where I want them to be. I literally would do this. This is where I want them to be. Okay, so the car is going to go through here. I'm mapping it out, right? Car is going to go through here, so this is where I need the couple to stand. Okay, so then again, he takes 2 or 3 test drives past me, click, 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 and then I'm also testing his speed. Because we would actually test the speed, and I would tell him, well, you're not kicking up enough dirt, right? And then Steven was advocating for faster. You'll see it in the video, and I tell him, no, I don't want anyone to die today. He really was advocating for faster. He wanted me to get sued. And then I add the people in, but since I take that process to it, I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me. It really was boom, 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 and get the shot. Now, I was with the D800, so we're not talking about a D3 shooting at 9, 10 frames a second. We're talking about a D800 doing 4 in RAW. So click, click, click.
Well, it's because you have a good habit of, instead of throwing the couple out there and testing, he does it all first. So they're relaxed, sitting on the side, and then he'll go out and he'll say, okay, this is the way I want it, and boom, it's already all set up. So once they're out there, there's no thinking. That's why it's so quick.
I have a rule with my clients. I'm not going to bore them with my crap. When I shoot a wedding, I get everything set up before I just tell clients just hang out. And they love it because I'm not making them sit there forever and wait. So if you guys take that approach to it, whether it's models, whether it's anything else, your clients will love you for it. Did you ever?
What time was it?
Oh, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 4? Yeah.
Summertime.
No, that's February. I do a workshop at WPPI every year. This was the WPPI 2 years ago. Oh, it was really hot.
I saw a shadow behind him.
Yeah, it was really hot.
Where is that shop?
It wasn't high enough.
Where? Are you familiar with Vegas at all? When you go outside of Vegas and you go towards Henderson, you hang a right and go down towards Nelson. It's right there on the right side.
So it's on the way to Nelson?
If you go towards Nelson, you'll see it right on the right side. Yeah. Kind of my workshop next year, guys. We'll go screw around. Believe me, we're insane. Huh? I've been to Nelson about 4 or 5 times. Yeah. Yeah.
Where the workshop?
We do it the 2 days after WPPI.
Oh, okay.
And then we go out and screw around. And my workshops they're slated for 7 hours. They never end on 7 hours. I always figure if we're having fun, we keep going. I don't shortchange people. But yeah, that was a great time. We had a great time. Perseverance. Okay. If you guys aren't willing to persevere, if you're not willing to really fight for your shots, you're not going to be very successful. That's the truth. You know how many times I hear from photographers, oh, it's good enough. Oh, it's good enough. Oh, it's good enough. There is no such thing as good enough. It's a matter of, did you get what you're supposed to get? Did you maximize that opportunity? Now, if I shoot a wedding, and again, they get married at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're sweating buckets, and it's pouring down on them with the sun, and they're glistening. My job, what is incumbent upon me, my job is to make that shot the absolute best it can be. Not good enough. I hear that all the time. I got into a polite conversation with a group on Facebook the other day about that, and they hated me for it. So I chastised the other photographers. I told them, you guys are lazy. I'm tired of people being lazy. Because you know what lazy photographers do? They drive down our prices. That's what's happening. That's why I have such a soapbox on this stupid indie vintage crap.
They ruin the market.
They do. Because, here's why. They go and shoot. They don't practice this perseverance. They're freaking lazy. And here's what happens. They get shots, and some Joe Blow looks at them and says, I'll go spend $1,000 on a DSLR. I'll go practice for a couple weeks before the wedding. And guess what? My shots might not be as good, but they're about 90%. So guess what? All of you potential photographers or current photographers, I don't mean to say that you're not, but all of the photographers in the room, there's not enough work. Because we have completely cannibalized, we've completely destroyed our own industry. Right? A lot of people use the word MWAC or the term MWAC. I think it's kind of offensive, mom with a camera. But, because I'm not trying to be offensive. I have people get into arguments with me and they'll say, oh, the stupid MWACs. I would never say something like that. I don't care if it's a dad with a camera, a mom with a camera, whoever. They shouldn't be shooting weddings. But how are you going to convince them of that if you guys aren't better? If I'm not better? So I have no tolerance. I love new photographers. And I love any photographer that's willing to learn. I can't tolerate laziness. My background, I used to work in hotels. I was an executive for Starwood, Marriott, all those. I've only been doing professional photography 7 years. And I would always tell my employees when they'd walk into me, when they would come complaining about something, I'd say, you know, if you're going to have a complaint, have a solution. In other words, don't be lazy. I'd always tell my employees, you keep your job if you can show up on time and work hard. I tell you, you'll keep your job. It's almost impossible to get fired if you come on time and just do what you're supposed to do. You don't even have to do above and beyond. Just do what you're supposed to do and you'll keep your job. Same is true with photography. But if you guys, you know what separates the photographers like myself who charge a lot and the rest of the group who charge $1,500, $2,000, you know what separates us? We work our butts off. Now, part of it is talent, absolutely. There's absolutely a talent quotient related to this conversation. But guys, if you cannot discount hard work.
You've been a professional for 7 years, but how long have you been shooting total?
I've been shooting, you know, I got a little Nikon N5000 or whatever it was back when I was in high school just so I could take shots of pretty girls, right? Hey, you want a picture taken? Of course, it was all in automatic. I had no idea what I was doing. And when I got volunteered for that first wedding, I was still shooting an automatic. And I remember telling Dawn, we need to learn manual. We have no idea what we're doing. So guess what we did when we booked the wedding? We went out, and I told her, hey, guess what? We're going to do a bunch of free shoots for you. Oh, that's so nice. So let's do a bridal. Let's do an engagement. Let's do another engagement. Oh, let's do a groom session. I was practicing, right? And if you guys go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I tell the story of how I became a photographer. This wasn't something I volunteered for. It really was I was put into it. But the bottom line is I really, really focused on getting myself out there. So if you guys aren't willing to persevere, I'm going to share a quick video at the end that'll talk about persevering. But you guys, I can't say more simply than this. Don't be lazy. If you're not making money, whose fault is it? It's your fault. Stop blaming other people. Whenever I'm struggling, whenever my wife says I can't buy what I want to buy, and my wife is an amazing person, so it's not like she's out there spending gobs of money. But I never want, whenever I feel like I need to provide more for my family, let me put it that way, guess what I do? I go out and work. Stop making excuses. You guys not being able to make money has nothing to do with how many photographers are in the market. Do you think Kobe Bryant worries about some college player? He could care less because he's really good. So he's going to get paid. LeBron James, whoever you want to name, right? You guys want to make money? Get really good and stop making excuses for why you suck. I'm not saying you do, but you get my point. Because I have this conversation all the time with newer photographers. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about in regards to number 5 is soul. Okay. This is critical. If your guys' shots don't have soul, just hang up the cleats. And what is soul? How do you actually inject your soul into your images? How do you do that?
Can you define what you mean by soul?
The picture moves you. It seems alive. The picture makes you feel something. The picture makes you want to go there. The picture makes you wish that you would have been in that moment. That's what I mean by soul.
Whatever your creativity is, whatever your feelings are at the moment you want to portray that through the photo.
Yeah, right? Perfect. You're going to see me shoot this shot. And you're going to see me act like a kid on Christmas morning. I'm that excited about what I'm doing when I'm taking this image. Okay? If you guys don't love what you do, don't do it. Your passion for your work will come through. You know what my clients always tell me? They always laugh. You've been doing this all these years, and it's like it's the first time you've taken pictures. You guys come to my workshops, I'm like a little kid. Come to my weddings, I'm like, oh yeah, that shot's awesome. I don't know why, but I have this boundless energy and passion for what I shoot. I really do. I love it to death. If you guys don't have that, find where you have it. Or you won't make the money you want to make. The photographers out there who make lots of money, they love it, guys. Now, are there hard days? Are there days you hate it? Absolutely. Do you have clients that you don't like sometimes? Absolutely. Do you sometimes have, like me, like 16,000 shots that you have to get done? No joke, I do right now. Yeah. Does that suck? Absolutely. But guess what, guys? You have to love what you do. I know you hear it, but it's not like when I worked in hotels, right? It was a mediocre job. It paid the bills. It paid the bills really well, but I didn't love it. That's why I left. Because I found something that I was so passionate about, I just had to spend the rest of my life doing it. Okay? I woke up 7 years ago and said, I don't want my life story to be that of a hotelier. I want to give something to the world. I want to leave my mark on the world, and that was precisely why I did what I did. It's why I'm going to Ethiopia in 2 weeks. I want to do something that's bigger than me. If you guys have that love of photography, if you can find it, and there was a while I lost it for weddings. I would go into the barber shop wherever I was, and they would say, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a landscape photographer. And then, this happened like 3 times. You know what they said? Oh, that's too bad. I was actually getting married. Now what do I say at that point? Oh, never mind, I actually do weddings, right? I was a snob, right? I was like, oh, you know. And I finally said, Jason, either love them or don't do them. It's attitude. That's how you inject your soul into it. Because how you approach your business is how you put soul into your shots. Because you care more. You're going to work harder for them. You're going to persevere. You're going to have that patience. And your shots, it's going to come through, guys. It's impossible for it not to come through if you guys do it that way. It's impossible. Yeah.
You actually just touched on an interesting point where you started pigeonholing yourself specifically as being a landscape photographer. When you're not doing that, I mean, looking at your images, you do multiple things. When someone comes to you and says, you know, you say I'm a photographer, and they say, what do you shoot? How do you now respond to that?
Oh, it's easy. What are you looking for?
Most people try and pigeonhole you into saying, what, you know,
That's a great question. I refuse to get pigeonholed. People always say, oh, you can't be a successful landscape photographer and a wedding photographer. In the same month, I was published in Popular Photography magazine for landscapes, and I was published in other PDN, other magazines for my wedding work. Same month. I don't know anyone else who does that. There could be someone. I'm not saying that I'm the only one, but I don't know who else is. I refuse. Because guess what? It goes back to that soul. My passion, I love photography. My wife will just joke. She goes, okay. Because it's about 2-3 years ago, I was like, guess what? I'm going to do pinups. She just laughs now. She's like, well, if you want to do it, they'll turn out good. Why? Because if I get hot and bothered about it, it's going to happen. Right now, my passion is time-lapse. I saw some video the guy, Steven sent me a video a couple years ago, but saw some video guy did on time-lapse, and I'm like, I got to beat it. It's my passion now, right? So again, I went and spent all that money I wasn't supposed to spend. But it's my passion. So to answer your question, the pigeonholing, I think that's a great question. You'll get a lot of advice of people telling you, you can't, you can't, you can't. Screw them. Who wrote the book? All these people telling you all this crap, they're liars. Okay, understand something, guys. Photographers do lie. No, right? Understand one more thing. You go to workshops, and you don't have to believe me. Come to one, and you'll see I'm just like this, very straight. But I'm telling you what, guys, I went to workshops where very famous photographers flat out lied to me. Flat out, not me, the group. They taught us how to do some stupid trick in Photoshop where we would get the little marching ants and select it with the lasso tool or whatever, right? And then we would put a feather on it, and then we would use an adjustment layer to increase our contrast. And then I went back and I'm like, oh, that's how he does all that. That's amazing. And then I went back and I did it at home, and I'm like, but there's like banding and it's like really weird. And I realized he completely lied because his work is impeccable. He lied because he doesn't want people to know. I'd much rather tell you, like when you guys ask how do you do your signature look, I'm not going to tell you. Right? That's a lot better answer, right? Because if I tell you I'm not going to tell you, that means when you do ask me a question and I do answer it, it's the truth. And anyone who's been worked with me or anyone who has been in one of my workshops will tell you, I share 98%. I only keep 2. Because I don't need to create a bunch of mini-me's. I want to make all the money. See, I want to be the Kobe Bryant. I don't want to be the Mark Madsen. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? All right.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
You go back to your comment, your picture of the bridge. You'd asked a question earlier. I've been with him for 7 years.
I've observed some things that maybe you when you see something, we hike, we're out, you're in San Francisco, you're in some place, you see something, you go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. If he had taken that picture from any different angle and just captured what he saw when he first saw that bridge, he'd look at it and go, oh, it looks like a darn. It's what you said. He changes, moves. And even though that may not have been the first shot he saw, it's the shot that made him feel what he felt when he saw that. That takes a lot of practice. So you up, down, every decision that he makes until he sees it and goes, that's what I had in my head, that's the feeling, you know. And when you're photographers, you don't have, when you're there in person, you have smell, sound, all these feelings come to your mind, memories, but the person seeing your picture doesn't have that. You have to somehow do what he does, which it makes it look easy. I'm telling you, the reason he's standing up there and not me is because he can do it and I can't.
So what's the sum? Was that relative sum?
No, that quite frankly, it's impossible to say who's more talented in any given room, right? Who knows who's more talented? Talent comes into it. There's no doubt. I see things that some other people can't, and I'm sure there's people in the room here who can see what I see. It's the marriage of talent with ability, talent with knowledge. That's the marriage that has to happen. But from a very rudimentary standpoint, it really, really boils down to, Jason, what do I want to capture here? And stopping. This is in Ireland, and I went to this suspension bridge, right? Took me freaking 4 miles to hike to this thing. I'm fat, and I have tons of gear, and my legs are aching, and it's raining, and I get out there, and there's tons of tourists behind me who want to go, and I said, hey, hang on just a second. I said, I have a permit for the bridge. Now, I know that it's going to take them 10 minutes to verify that. So in the 10 minutes between them verifying it and me shooting it, I'm done. I had one guy come back, he goes, so you're done now? I said, yeah, my permit was for 10 minutes. Right? Now, the bottom line is slowing down. You know, when I first started doing photography, I saw another photographer at a wedding, and I looked at the back of his camera, and best thing he ever taught me, I don't even know his name, never met him, but I looked at the back of his camera. He had a little Post-it note, and it said in caps, he wrote, slow down. Best piece of it, best thing I ever learned, because that's where I make all my mistakes, is going too fast. That's true of anything in life, right? You go too fast, you screw up. You're making whatever recipe in the kitchen, you go too fast, you're throwing in ingredients, you're not measuring it, you screw up. Same thing with photography, guys. Take a systematic approach to your photography. That will really improve your shots tremendously. And I teach that at my workshops. I teach how I build my shots. Because how I build them is why my shots have the consistency that they do. Because the way that I light, the way that I compose, the way that I pose my subjects is all built on building that house and building the ground blocks up. When I pose, for example, I pose from the feet up. Just like a house, I needed my foundation, right? I need to get the feet right. Why? The feet dictate which way the hips go. Okay? And then, by the way the hips go, it dictates how you're going to be able to move and position yourself. Everything that I do is from a systematic approach. Once you get, I'll get to you real quick. Once you get the systematic part right, guess what? I really mean this. Once you get the systematic part of it right, your creativity is unleashed. Because now you're not being held back by your lack of knowledge and ability.
You usually shoot everything in landscape and portrait? Or
No.
You know exactly that's what you want, you're going to shoot it?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I don't. I'm kind of a, what's the word? I just like the way I see things. So if someone says, oh, well, should you shoot it in both? Well, sure, if you want to waste a bunch of memory.
Well, I was just thinking that you might see something after the fact that you didn't see when you were there.
Absolutely. The difference is, if I don't see it there, I'm not going to capture it. Because I don't get lucky. I completely reject the idea that photographers are lucky. I completely reject that. Now, sometimes is there an amount of luck? Absolutely, right? Sometimes there's an amount of luck because you have to get a good sunrise. You can't tell God. You can't dial up 1-800-sunset, right? You can't. You wish you could. But if you have an opportunity to capture something, but either you're lazy or you lack the skill to capture it, it doesn't matter if you see a beautiful sunrise. It's gone.
Can I explain what you mean by lazy?
Sure.
He'll have us hike. Well, we'll say down to the middle of a cave with no ropes or safety things because he knows that's where the shot's going to be. We're tired, we're starving, we have to use the restroom. He's like, well, you know what, I bet you this shot will look good from the top of that mountain. And we're like, oh, crap. And we know we're going to go. We have to go. And every time we go to a shoot, he utilizes that place. Like, we know we go to West Virginia to an abandoned building. We're never going to go there again, so we will shoot. Like 16 hours, I would have been done, 15 hours ago. And he's in the same room with 600 different poses in that room. It's insane.
Yeah, I've had people describe my work ethic as I exhaust locations. I suck every living piece of breath out of a location. You guys, have you seen some of my shots from the Waldo Hotel? You may not know it by name, but if you checked out my stuff from the Waldo Hotel, because of my name, I was able to get in there and get keys to the place, which is awesome. That's another thing I should tell you guys. Hey, guess what? The more successful you get, the easier opportunities come. So you want opportunities like I have, work your butts off, right? Anyway, so we got into the building. Joyce and I, we pull up, right? Seriously. And I thought, this is an abandoned, literally condemned building. Asbestos, lead poisoning, all the stuff that I'm used to. And we walk up. We have this on video. The guy walks up, Warren, and he goes, here are the keys. And I'm expecting this big lecture of you can't do this, you can't do that. Let's do a walkthrough of the building. He goes, here's the keys. See you later. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I said, so I have a run of the place. He goes, yeah. How long are you going to be here for? And I was only supposed to have the keys for a day. So I just said, oh, I need them about a week. He goes, okay. And even my buddy, like my buddy Vanden or other people are there, they're like, we're going back to the Waldo again. Yep. We're going back again. Yep. I exhausted it. I just found out they're completely renovating it, and those pictures I have are the very last images taken inside of the Waldo before it's been renovated. I exhausted it. And now I don't feel any regret like, oh, I had those keys, but I just got lazy. Do you know how many times I say to myself, I hate you, Jason? Because I just have to go get the shot. I'm literally a schizophrenic. Because I'm like, I know I have to do it, but I'm actually literally mad at myself. I was walking up to the Delicate Arch in the Arches National Park, and oh my gosh, if you guys have done that hike, it's miserable. And I decided to start it at 7 p.m. When everyone else is walking back to their cars, I'm walking up with one little headlamp. And I kept asking, how much further? I mean, I literally laid on top of the rock at one point and said, God, where is this freaking arch? Help me, right? The bottom line is it's about that perseverance and about not being lazy. It's what separates it, guys. Yeah.
I'll share a story because I second that and I live to regret it. I was driving on the 9th of September 2001. I was driving out of Manhattan through the Holland Tunnel, back over. It was one of the most crystal clear nights I've seen in a long time. The New York skyline was perfect. I very nearly went and got my camera. I thought, no, we'll be there. We'll be there.
Yeah.
But it's late in 9/11. So never ever make a mistake. I second what you're saying.
Yeah. Just live, I'm not some crazy yuppie or hipster, but, YOLO, right? You only live once. Right? I mean, seriously, guys, get the shot. All right. All right, so this is what I was talking about, setting up people shots with a landscape photographer's eye. Again, set the background, right? Get your background straight. First, decide compositionally what you want. That's the absolute most important thing. Second thing, set your lighting. right? So we're exposing for the sky. We're exposing for those clouds. If you expose for the clouds, your shot's going to be different than 90% of people out there. And people will book you because you actually know how to take a proper photograph. That's a lost art in today's industry. Set your background lighting. Then set your composition, right? So first you're looking at it. You're like, this is where I want to do it. Then you get your lighting right. Then you say, okay, this is where I'm going to cut. This is where I'm going to frame the image. This is the lens choice I'm going to make based on this image. I shoot landscapes with shorter lenses too. It's not just 16s, right? So make sure you do that, right? So then I add the person to the shot, right? Number 4 is critical. Remove any unwanted objects. This goes back to being lazy. Stop saying, oh, I'll clone it. I'll fix it in Photoshop. I have a rule that my brides are well aware of. When I walk into a bridal room, my brides know this. You know what I tell them? I'm not a trash picker-upper. I refuse to pick up trash. Don, Stephen, Jason, Joyce, any of my workers here will tell you how many times we walk into bridal rooms. There's underwear, there's dry cleaning bags, In-N-Out wrappers, beer, whatever. It's all over the place. It's seriously like everything a woman loves just blew up and threw up all over the room. Okay? And we walk in, and what do the brides always say, guys? Come on, you guys know this. What do they always say? You can Photoshop it. I have a rule. I never say no, I just say how much. Because I don't want to be confrontational. And this gets me out of every single one. It's never failed. Walk in. Oh, Jason, you can just Photoshop that out? Absolutely. It's $50 a shot. What?
Hurry up and clean it
Yep.
up. Right?
I show up and I tell them, and I don't allow my workers to clean it up either. They didn't come to pick up people's junk. I find that demeaning. They'll say, oh, can your people just pick it up? No. You pick it up. Now, keep something in mind. Again, I'm huge about setting client expectations. When I get there, it's not like I'm being abrasive because they know I've already told them. This is the conversation. Hey, just so you guys know, when we show up on the wedding day, typically it looks like a nuclear bomb exploded in your room. So if we're supposed to be there at 3 o'clock, what I need you to do is I need you to make sure it's very clean. And I tell them, we won't start shooting until you've cleaned it. Well, what do you mean? I said, if we show up and it's 3 o'clock and I'm contracted to start shooting at 3, my clock starts at 3. But if you don't have it cleaned until 3:20, I'm not going to start until 3:20. Well, why not? Because it's a disgusting mess. Why would I shoot it? I'm not going to. I said, well, I can shoot it, but then it's $50 to take out the In-N-Out wrappers. Oh, okay. Or I'll grab, if there's an option, I can grab a bouquet, flowers, whatever, go out in another room and shoot. I'll do that. I'm not trying to waste my client's money. The bottom line is set parameters for yourself. Yeah, it's funny. My guys will tell you we'll walk in and the bride, if it's a mess, more often than not, the bride will say, oh, crap, we got to get it cleaned. He won't shoot until it's clean. So now the bride's saying it. I don't even have to say it. So keep that in mind, guys. Do I Photoshop out bra straps? No. Tell them, take off your bra. I'm serious. I've had them wear the bras and they'll say, oh, you can fix it in Photoshop. Sure, $50 a shot. Well, a couple shots. Sure, a couple hundred. Feel like dropping 10 grand on me for editing. Hey, I'll buy you a new car. The bottom line is I don't do it. I mitigate everything that is going to take away from my shot and is going to add additional work to my workload. Okay? If they decide to wear a bra, a corset, whatever, and it comes out, especially, right, because this is what they'll do. I'll be in a bridal room, and they'll say, oh, well, it doesn't show. And I'll tell them this. Okay, go like this. Now go like this. Move around for me. Well, why? Because I want to see what it's going to do when you dance. Oh. And then, well, it's showing. Well, I'll just fix it. Oh, you're going to fix it in the middle of your first dance? Take it off, hon. No, I'm just very, very open with my brides. Well, as long as your girls don't come out, you're fine. Where you're dressed, I always tell them, will it stay up? Roll with it, baby. I had a bride wear black underwear underneath because she wanted to be gothic and for the honeymoon night. Don't want to imagine what that was all about. But showed through the dress. So I told her, I said, hey, sweetie, this is why I talked to him. Hey, sweetie, do you have any white underwear or anything that's not see-through? Because she had a pretty sheer dress and it was showing through. And I said, do you have anything that's not going to show through? She goes, no. I said, well, you either go commando or you're going to look like a neon sign. Everyone's going to see your panties. So she took them off. You guys need to have talks. This is all the same applies. Remove any unwanted items, up to and including underwear. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys is, you know, they'll see me. There's a video where I did a Little Red Riding Hood. If you see us, it's on YouTube, right? Now, that one's pretty bad because we actually ripped stuff off the house. But there was this old house, and my buddy, I told Van, and I said, I don't want that there. So he weighs about, well, I can't exaggerate, I'll get in big trouble. He weighs about 350 pounds, and he's stronger than, you know, Paul Bunyan. And I said, hey, Van, that thing's ugly, and it looks modern. He literally walks over there, grabs it, and goes, and we have it on video. And he goes, and rips it off and throws it into the bushes, right? I remove anything that I don't want because I will not do it in post. And why would I not do it in post? Number one, it adds more work, but does it ever look as good? Never. It never looks right. I don't Photoshop out tan lines. I tell my brides, you guys watch my video, 10 Commandments of Great Wedding Photography? Tell them, if you're going to tan naked. I had a bride I shot in Pensacola 5 years ago. She tanned 2 days before the wedding. I show up, she has huge white lines, and I just says, she goes, oh, you can take care of these, right? I said, no, honey, I can't. Be honest with your clients. Don't commit yourself to things that you can't do. Don and I shot a wedding 6 years ago. We show up, the boutonnieres are on the wrong side. I was a new photographer. They said, you can fix this in Photoshop, right? Yeah, no problem. I wanted to seem like a hero, right? I get back, I realize, I send her the images, I fixed a few. She says, you told me you'd fix them. I said, honey, that's like 400 shots. She goes, you said. It took me a month between all my other work. Now, personally, I have a thing. If I say I'm going to do it, I'll do it because I want to be a man of integrity. But I hated myself and I screamed at myself that entire month. So the bottom line is, guys, don't commit yourself. Before you want to utter those words of, okay, no problem, because it's so much easier to do that on a wedding day, just say, no, I can't do that. Sorry. Make sure you guys don't commit yourself to stuff. Set those proper expectations and remove. And I said, I use the term canvas. Think of your work as a canvas, right? If there was any trash here or anything, it would be gone. I will not Photoshop it out. Absolutely not. All right. After you've done all that, then like I was kind of explaining to here, this is another good example. Add your subjects, which were the people. Add alternative lighting, which is going to be video lights. Video lights kick on after it gets dark. Video lights are pretty much worthless in the daytime. Okay. And you guys know I use the Pro Flash strobies a ton. Best lights out there, and they're a game changer. They'll completely change your photography. Truly. How?
I said they have a lot of power.
They have a lot of power. The recycle time's amazing, and if you know how to use them, they're just killer. You know, pocket wizards are a joke. And I'll put the strobies, the trigger on my camera, and I can adjust all the way from 1 to 1 to 128 on any given flash that's hooked up.
With the trigger.
Just right from my camera. That's why it's such a game changer for me. They're amazing. And then last, you create a masterpiece. You create something that really, you bring all these elements together. Don has heard this statement more than anyone else that's worked with me, because Don was with me from the beginning of my career, and I'm very grateful to him for that. I always would say that I knew my moment would come. I knew it. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, my career is changing in more ways than I could possibly imagine. I always said that when my moment comes, I want to build my talent, I want to build my ability, and I want to have a Ferrari sitting in the garage. So when the dealer comes by and says, you can take it, it's your time, I want to be ready for it, right? Because how many opportunities, ask yourself this, how many opportunities do we let slip through our fingers? Those who know me will tell you that I view almost any opportunity as a big break. I'm an optimist in that regard. It's an opportunity. Is that going to happen all the time? No. The difference is, I didn't go into Six Flags or any other place. I didn't go in there and didn't know what I was doing. See, anyone can go in there. Heaven's sakes, there's tons of videos that people have done in there, and guess what? Every single one of them sucks. They suck. The videography is atrocious, and the photography is atrocious. Next week, I'm going to go to some abandoned places in Detroit. Taking mace, taking a knife, and we're going to go shoot. Okay? Calculated risks. The point I'm trying to make is, guys, be ready when your opportunity comes. That video was shot in the Glencoe Highlands of Scotland. I had been there, same thing. You saw the rain. I had been there, and I drove there, and someone says, a local had told me, if you guys want advice, always talk to locals. The local told me, hey, you got to go to Glencoe. It's absolutely amazing. And as you can see in the video, I got there at about 9, 10 o'clock at night. It was dark. And you heard me say in the video, this is supposed to be amazing, but I can't see anything. And when I got up, like you saw with the infrared, when I got up at 4 a.m., I was exhausted. Now, how much do you think I really wanted to go out and look to see if the sun was going to be right? Honestly, how much do you think I really wanted to do that? Not at all.
A lot of others would have done it.
My soul wanted it. My body telling me I was bleeping crazy, I'm exhausted, it's not going to work, just sleep. But when I woke up, I set my alarm for 4 in the morning, and I listened, and I'm like, oh, it's not raining. And I even said in the video, sometimes after it rains, they're the most beautiful sunrises ever. And you know what's the hardest thing about being a landscape photographer? And one of the main reasons I say it's the hardest type of photography, you can't control the elements. So there's so many times you get up in the morning for that sunrise, and 9 times out of 10, it's actually not that good. That's the honest truth. You get up and you shoot it. I'll get back, my wife will say, how was it? It's gotten to the point now where I shoot and she says, I'll go out and she says, did you take any pictures? Nope. I'll sit there and watch it, and if it's no good, I'll just keep my gear in my bag. Seriously. So the bottom line is, you guys have to be ready for when your moment comes, because man, when I shot that, I went and talked to some locals, and they said to me, oh my gosh, did you see the sunrise this morning? Back to your 9/11 thing, I mean, if I had known there was an amazing sunrise and I missed it, it would haunt me to this day. It would. I'll get back from a trip and I am physically, mentally exhausted. It's not the jet lag that I'm sleeping off, it's the fact that I sleep about 3-4 hours a day when I'm out on shooting. So, all right. We're going to go through a little bit of bonus material here. I thought I'd throw this in for you guys. How you can become a professional photographer. That's what everyone asks me a lot about. Okay. Number 1, build a strong portfolio. Don't tell me you're a good photographer. Show me. We live in an image-related business. If you guys are wanting to be a professional photographer, stop telling people how good you are. People should be contacting you. I had a call from a guy from SEO today, right? All the search engine optimizations, which, by the way, don't do any of them. It's a gigantic ripoff and a scam. So he calls me, and I love playing with these guys. He says, hi, oh my gosh, Jason Lanier, you're famous, and you're on, I just saw your stuff, and it's amazing. I said, thank you. He says, I want to talk about how we can increase your business. I said, actually, I turned business down. I sat on the phone with him for 5 minutes, and I just had a good time with it. There was a chuckle in my voice, and I kept saying, actually, I have so much business, I don't know what to do with it. Do you know anyone I can refer it to? I just went on and on and on with the guy. The bottom line is, you want people calling you. Okay, but how hard is it to get that? You have to work your butts off. I would take a hard-working, mid-level talent person over a very talented, lazy person any day of the week. Any day. Talk is cheap. So do TF shoots. What are TF shoots, guys? Trade for, time for. Pretty much get on modelmayhem.com. Find all the brand new models. Start booking them. Put out a casting call. Get out there and start booking business. Okay? This is booking free business. Okay? When I have the opportunity to have a speeding Camaro pass me, I know how to get the shot because I've literally done at least 500 TF shoots, at least. I own 10, 11 wedding dresses. I go buy them at Salvation Army, Savers, wherever. I slap them on models. I make sure to get strapless gowns because they're all different shapes and sizes. We'll clip it in the back, or I'll simply say, hold it up with your girls, right? And I run around, and I've done so many free shoots, and that is how I've gotten better. That's truly the key to my success, is the amount of shooting. And then I go back, and I am very critical. Back to number 3 here. 1-3, I should say. Self-awareness. Don went with me the first time I went to WPPI. He'll tell you. I thought I was so good. Okay, I really did. I submitted 8, 10 images to WPPI, and I'm like, Don, we better go to the awards show. I'm going to win. Do you guys have any idea how bad I sucked? I mean, really, I sucked. And then I started looking at all the big photographers. It's 2008. And I was blown away. I'm like, these guys are pretty good. You know, I had a hard time reconciling why they were so good and I was not so good, right? Then I got my scores back on my prints, and I'm like, well, they don't. This is why I bark at photographers when they say this. This is why, what I'm about to say, because they're full of crap. Because I used to be this person, right? I got the scores back, and I'd look back, 68, 72, whatever, right? Those aren't good scores. You know what I said? They don't understand my art. Okay? I got into an argument, again, on Facebook just last week, and it was all about, they said, who's to say what's right and wrong? It's art. And I said, you're full of crap. Absolutely full of crap. Yes, there's an artistic expression. Yes, people can see things differently. I get that. I see things differently than all of you, and everyone else sees things differently. But to throw away the fundamentals and the technical skills of photography is a joke. Stop using the excuse that it's an artistic expression just because you suck. Stop. You're either good or you're not. And if you suck, get better. It's really the truth, guys. Self-awareness. I can't tell you how many times photographers, they'll come up to me, and I'll be at a trade show or whatever, and we'll talk, and most people are fantastic, but there's always those guys who are like, oh, I'm as good as you. Oh, okay. Good for you. Let me see your shots. I got in a discussion again. I keep referencing it, but the guy says, oh, well, the question was related to if the sun is behind, somebody posted on Facebook, if you are shooting a ceremony and the sun is behind the bride and groom, but you want to expose for the background, how do you do that? I just wrote on there. I said, well, simple. You expose for the background, put a flash on your camera, sit in the center aisle and shoot. And someone said, no, you should blow out the background, and then you take your sliders in Lightroom and you bring down the exposure, and then you bring up the shadows. And I wrote to him and I said, well, that's going to give you a really muddy image with it's going to lack dynamic contrast. You're muddying up your image. The guy pulled the total jerk move of all time. He wrote, check my work, bro. Okay, so I go and I check his work. He has 3 times the amount of followers that I do on Facebook. Right? In this day and age, we live in a society where your amount of followers dictate how good you are. We do.
We do.
Okay? I wrote back, I checked it. You proved my point. Okay? And then I got banned from the page. I did. Because photographers can't take feedback. Now, someone asked me, well, you shouldn't bag on other people's work. I said, no, I didn't make fun of him. He said, check my work, bro. So I wrote back, I did. You proved my point perfectly. And he replied, oh, it's a great shot. I wrote back, as long as you tell yourself that. He says, you're an old-fashioned photographer. I said, you're crazy. There is a and then a guy came on, he's like, oh, well, that's when he pulled out. Who are you to say what's right and wrong? And I wrote, don't you think Michelangelo followed rules of painting? Leonardo da Vinci. There are rules to art. You cannot discount that. Huge pet peeve. Learn the rules, guys. Yeah. Say again?
Jackson Pollock.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no matter what you do, there are fundamentals that have to be followed. Everyone has their rules, right? My point is, guys, learn those rules. Learn what you're supposed to do so you can have fun. That's what I'm trying to express. I know, not everyone knows. There's no one who knows everything, myself included. Nobody. But I know most of the rules of photography. And because I know those rules, I can play. It really is. They'll tell you on a shoot, it really is like going out and playing. What do we want to do this time? We doing natural light? That'd be fun. Are we doing off-camera flash, video light? Are we doing video with off-camera flash? Guess what? We can throw all of them in. It's literally like being a chef in a kitchen. And you're like, what do I want to create? That's freedom. But you have to be very honest with yourself about where you lack. So Don and I get back from WPPI. My scores are horrible. And you know what? It took me about a week or two to really suck it up. But I said to myself, Jason, you're just not that good. And then that sparked an unending passion to improve. I mean, relentless, a fever that exists to this day. It drove me to where I am today, to completely improve myself and to stop making excuses for my lack of abilities. Get the right gear. Don't buy crap. Okay? Now, easier said than done, right? I mean, money doesn't grow on trees. It's hard buying gear. And that's the chicken and the egg, right? How do you buy gear if you don't have jobs? It's easy. Go out do the TF shoots. I built my business. The first wedding we did was Brittany and Greg. And Dawn and my wife and everyone joked around that it was the Greg and Brittany show on my website, right? So people would go to my website and they would see that I only had one wedding. So guess what I started to do? All these TF shoots, I supplemented it. Started adding girls in. Oh, look, he shot here, right? I wanted to become a destination wedding photographer. You know how to do that? It's a big shocker. I shoot all over the world now. You know how you do it? You got to go out and do it and show people that you can. Just shot a wedding last month in Aruba. Okay? How do you do that? I went on the wedplan.net. There was a wedding for $1,500 I would see. And I had three things, right? They had to have a good venue, a good dress, and they had to be good looking. If they had the three goods, I'd shoot it for pretty much cost or if I was losing money. I'd go out and shoot it. I went to one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I think you shot that one with me, right, in the forest? Yeah, we went out and shot. And by the time I brought Don along, this is not a guilt, I lost money on it. But he went out for free. I didn't pay him either. We wanted to build our portfolios, right? So we go out and we shoot it. Guess what? Now we shot a wedding in a forest. So now what do people think? Oh, well, geez, if Joe Blow flew Jason out there, they must have a lot of confidence in his abilities. Well, perfect. Then I'm going to fly him out to do my wedding. I shot my first wedding in March of 2007. The rest of that year, I had no weddings booked. He'll tell you. No weddings booked because we had no idea how it was going to turn out. In that year, for that year, which is a hotel term, in that year, for that year, we booked another 35 weddings. And the vast majority of them were off of wedplan.net for $1,500 or less. Okay? But in that first year, I built my entire business. The entire framework for my business was built off of that first year. Didn't make any money. Told my wife, it's rice and ramen, baby. But I built it. And then I built a portfolio that was very solid and robust. That's the way to do it, guys. Determine who you want to be. If you want to be a sports photographer, find a way to break in, guys. No shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in photography. Hard work. That's it. Back to the gear. Don't buy crap, right? Determine what you want to do with your photography. One of the best pieces of advice I could give you is if you truly are looking to do a prolonged or having a prolonged career, get a full-frame camera. And get it as soon as you can. Because you're going to go buy a crop sense lens or a crop sensor camera, and you're going to buy a bunch of lenses. And some schmuck like me you're going to come to my workshop. I'm going to tell you, oh, you should probably buy a full frame. And you're going to say, what the freak? I mean, I just bought like $3,000-$4,000 of lenses. right? I'm not saying that you can run out tomorrow and buy a full frame. What I am saying is, instead of going and buying all these ancillary or additional lenses, get a full frame camera. If you want a prolonged career, if this is a hobby or whatever, do whatever you want. Don't listen to me. But full frame is huge, guys, for resolution. It's huge for ISO sensitivity. It's huge for so many reasons. For your frame, it's a full frame. You see a lot wider. You see all my shots. These are on full frame cameras, 16 and 14 millimeter wide angle lenses. Okay, stop buying Tamron, Quantaray, Sigma. I know it's a third of the cost. And I know that Nikon and Canon are overpriced. But it's better crap. The glass is better. They work better. They last longer. And the optics are much, much better. Yeah.
Can you elaborate more about the right gear you use? Does it depend on the value money of the gear or depend on the vendor name?
Yeah. If you shoot Canon, get Canon. If you shoot Nikon, get Nikon. Same with flashes. Stop buying the Nissan, whatever crap, man. I'm not making fun of people. I've had all the crap. I have. I convinced myself that I could use a 28 to 300 Tamron and it would be the same. Piece of crap. Now, is it really a piece of crap? No, it's okay. It really is. I mean, being candid, it's okay. It's not crap, but it's not as good. And again, my focus with everyone is what? If you really want to make money, you got to be better than other people. Most people are running around with crop sensor cameras and cheap lenses. Another big one, prime lenses. Get prime lenses. He's shooting me with a prime 1.8. That's why he's getting me, and it's dark. It's not a piece of crap. Get good gear. Okay, it makes all the difference. Now, for a wedding, what do I primarily use? I use my 16 to 35. I use my 105 macro and my 80 to 200. That's pretty much what I use for any wedding. Now, I ventured into the mirrorless camera market just last week. Got myself an A6000 for Sony. Probably career suicide. I'm going to shoot it tomorrow at Disney. It'll turn out. Yeah. It will. I took a challenge one time. A photographer client, I'll get to your question, but a photographer challenged me. She said she was shooting my wedding. I was shooting her wedding. She said, I bet there's no way you can shoot the whole thing in 50. I did. I worked off a lot of calories, but I did it. But yeah, it'll turn out. Yeah.
What lenses did you get with the A6000?
Pretty much anyone you could buy.
So you got all those lights?
Don't tell my wife. I got a bunch of the Cine lenses. I got the 50 to 50, the 50 to 50 to 210, the 16.
16 to 70.
Yeah. There's a 30. There's some really good glass. The NEX series is just, it's phenomenal. It really is good stuff. And it shoots RAW. It's 24 megapixels. The A6000 is. So I'm going to use it tomorrow during the entire ceremony. Career suicide.
And 11 frames a second if you elaborate.
Exactly. 11 frames a second. And that camera has 179 focal points. They've compared the A6000 next to the Nikon D4S with autofocus. It's just... I bought it just because truthfully, why I bought it? I bought it last week because I said I'm going to Detroit. If I get mugged, I want to lose $1,000 of gear. I don't want to lose $15,000. You guys might think I'm laughing about that. I've been robbed in New York. I was carjacked in Paris. I fought the guys off in Paris. Slammed the guy's arm in the door, and I've never felt more satisfaction in my life. Now, he stole my jacket, which had my wallet, all my money and everything, but luckily I had my passport, so I got home. But it happened. So I bought it for Detroit, and then I bought it for Ethiopia. And now I started playing with it on the 4th of July, literally at a family pool party, and I was absolutely floored. I'm like, this stuff is the real deal. I mean, it's good stuff. So, anyway, 3, market yourself. If you guys aren't on social media, then you're not going to book business. Get on social media. Facebook. Now, Facebook I have a beef with because Facebook, they pretty much double dip. You get fans, and then you guys see that little charming thing, boost your audience or boost your post. I refuse to do that. I refuse to pay them. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I used to advertise about, I think it was $7 a day I used to do to gain audience. I stopped that about 2 years ago. When they started limiting the reach is when I said I'm out. I don't care if I go up any fans. That's one of the reasons it really slowed down, because that's what photographers do. So like that guy who said, check my work, bro, all he's done is paid for fans. And it's one of the main, so that's why be careful, guys. When you see somebody has tens of trillions of followers, they're paying for fans, guys. Unless you're Tom Cruise, Lady Gaga, whoever who legitimately has fans all over the world, most people are paying for fans. They really are. And I could lie to you and tell you that's not the case, but it is. This is the truth, though. Since I moved to YouTube, I pick up about 40 to 80 fans a day on YouTube, and you can't pay for fans on YouTube. That is completely organic, and it's why I'm moving all of my operations, not all, but I'm moving a lot of what I do over to YouTube. I'd say 4 months ago I had 400 followers on YouTube, and by tomorrow I have 4,000. All organic. And YouTube, I had no idea. I mean, YouTube, they'll tell you I film it. Look, I'm filming with 2 cameras. I film every single thing I shoot. Because I never know. I never know it's going to be a shoot that's going to change my career, right? I seriously don't. So even if the client doesn't pay for it, a video crew comes. Every time. Comes on my TF shoots, comes on my model shoots, comes on my workshops. I film it for liability purposes, and I also film it for promotional purposes. And YouTube, here's the big thing, right? You post a picture on Facebook, and then the next day it's in a graveyard. Am I wrong? Meaning, you post a picture, you'll get 10, 20, 50, whatever likes. The next day you might pick up 1 or 2. By day 3, nobody even looks at it again. YouTube is the exact opposite. It's why I love it to death. The older the content, the more powerful it becomes. Okay? Guess what else? Who owns YouTube? Google. Who's the king of SEO? Google. Why are people hiring me? I just got another email for a Disney wedding today. It's because I have Disney stuff up on YouTube. I'm getting found and discovered because of YouTube. It's a huge game changer for me. I wish I had paid attention to it 5 years ago. I'd literally be 5 times ahead of where I am today. But I'm not going to cry over spilled milk, because here's why. Because I practice, I look like ShamWow, right? Here's why. Okay? For $9.95. But I'm ready for it. My wife and I had this conversation. I said, you know, if I had been discovered many, many years ago, I wasn't good enough. We have recent photographers who have fallen on very hard times, very, very famous, well-known photographers, because they're full of crap. My point is, be ready for that moment. Market yourself and drive your business. Learn to be hated and loved. Okay? Believe in yourself. This couldn't be any more true, guys. People are going to hate your stuff, and they're going to say nasty, horrible things to you. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Seriously. To this day, I have people tell me, oh, your work blows. You suck. Now, my personality, I tend to mix it up with people. Oh, yeah, let me see your work. I shouldn't do this, but I got one guy. So I guess the idiots over at Popular Photography Magazine just don't know what they're talking about. Right? The bottom line is, though, for the most part, you're just going to delete them. Empower yourself. Somebody comes saying something nasty to you, don't cry over it. Ban them from your page. Tell them to get the hell out of your life. Seriously. I ban them from YouTube. I ban them from Facebook. One guy really pissed me off. I did a video about him, and it's been so popular that now when you Google his name, it's the first thing that comes up. Because he said disgusting, very vile things. And I was actually defending newer photographers. I was. I put out a video that said, older photographers need to stop being jerks to newer photographers. And he said, he's the one who taught me the MWAC. He's like, oh, I'm sick of all these stupid MWACs. He says, you know, these fat moms are just coming to your workshops to take your FE this. So I did screenshots of everything he said. Then I did a video about it. And then I blogged it. And then I found what organizations he worked for. I sent it to them. He got fired from them. And then I posted on it. And now he has to live with what he said. Now, can I do that for everyone? No. And is everyone as vile as him? No. He takes the cake. The point is, if you let people just bombard you with how much you suck, keep a couple things in mind. Number one, you're relinquishing your self-esteem to them if you don't fight back. It's like a bully who continually slaps you every day and you're like, oh, I'm just going to take it. Don't take it. Either ban them if you don't want to deal with it. I'm not saying you have to be confrontational. Get them out of your life. Ban them. I have a sister-in-law who says stuff about, this is no joke. She would say, oh, well, your shots are too sexy or whatever. I said, you're banned. Get off my page. I saw her at a family event. I said, sweetie, it's just better if we're not Facebook friends. I don't want to hear it. Right? The bottom line is, guys, what it boils down to is take control of your social media and take control of that public element. I mean, we have such a horrible society in that regard where people, I call it drive-by, people just, they're anonymous and they say whatever they want. Right? Yep. Take control of it. Don't let them say that to you guys because it will drag you down. I speak to so many photographers at my workshops and they tell me, I'm so dragged down by everything people say to me. So guys, take it back. Take control of it. Okay? Last thing, get educated, guys. Conventions, conferences, schools, and go to the right workshops. Of course, I would list mine as one. But there are other good ones. Make sure to go to ones where they're not just pitching products to you the whole time. I have sponsors. But you're going to hear about them one time and that's it. And I'm not going to drag on and on and on and on and on. It's not supposed to be a freaking timeshare presentation. You're there. You pay your money to learn photography. Not to have me pitch to you so I can earn more money. Right? My workshops speak for themselves. If you see me using the Pro Flash or my Think Tank bags or any of them, or the Rotolights, any of my other sponsors, you see me using them, my goal is to show you how awesome they are and you walk up to me and say, how in the world can I buy those? Do you have a code? Do you have anything? And I give it to you. That's it. Simple. Go to the right workshops. So speaking of workshops, I have one coming up August 21st and 22nd here in Los Angeles. That's a lighting and posing workshop. And to both of these workshops, there's a special code for you guys. If you type in, it'll be valid the 13th through the 20th. You'll have a 10% discount on either of these two workshops. I just type in Try Community, and you guys are going to save 10%. The workshops, the lighting and posing workshop on the 21st and 22nd is $300, and the have you guys seen my real wedding workshops? Larry came to one. You guys, there's no better way for you to get into weddings. I'm serious. You actually get to come to a real wedding, and I allow you to use the images for your portfolio. It's a 2-day, both of them are 2-day workshops. The first one, on the real wedding workshops, we go through and we do a whole series of bridal shots, engagement shots, because I want to give you a whole portfolio of one couple. So when you go to pitch yourself, you can say, I did engagement shoots for this couple, I did bridal shoots for this couple, and then I did the wedding for this couple. All of my real wedding workshops are at awesome locations. Larry did one with me at Disneyland. Okay. When I choose these, the one on September 25th, 26th, it's at a historic theater in Hollywood. Okay? All the real wedding workshops that I do are amazing places. On the 21st and 22nd of August, that's a lighting and posing where we go do stuff like this. We go play. And you guys will have the opportunity to do that with me if you'd like to do that. And that'll be down here in Southern California.
How much is the real wedding workshop?
Oh, I'm sorry. This one is $299. The regular, and this one is $4.99. No, $3.99. I'm sorry, $2.99, $3.99. So if you save 10%, I mean that's $30-40. Yeah.
Involved with the retouching?
Say again.
The workshop involved with the retouching?
Not these. They don't. I don't mind teaching. I used to do a lot of editing workshops, and I would be very candid with them and say, "This is as far as I'm going to take you," and I would tell them that ahead of time. However, they bore me to death. I'd be doing them and I just want to go shoot. Break into some abandoned place. And when I say break in, I do need to qualify. There are parameters. I don't bust down doors. I don't break in windows. I don't hop over fences. It has to be something that is accessible. Tall fences. If I can actually walk over it, then it's legal. Joyce, she couldn't hop over a 1-inch fence. So, yeah.
So you go see your website in order to register? Or
Yeah, you go to jasonlanierworkshops.com. Oh, let me show this to you guys real quick. Yeah, just go to jasonlanierworkshops.com. Lots of free stuff on there for you guys to learn. All right, we're just about up with time. What? Oh, if you guys are interested, you can go on, and this is my workshops page right there, jasonlanierworkshops.com. You guys can go follow me, so I actually have real followers, not bot. Facebook.com/jasonlanierphotography, and then the YouTube. And guys, I'm telling you what. Seriously, go check out the YouTube channel. I put up whole workshops on there. People even ask me, aren't you worried about eroding your business? It's only increased, because guess what? You get to try it before you buy it. And I've told people if a lot of the photographers who teach workshops actually showed what they did, they'd lose attendees. I put full workshops on there. I don't hold back, because I want you to watch it. And for you guys to say, I want to do that, because there's nothing like attending. So go to youtube.com/jasonlanierpros, and I'll take whatever questions you guys have up until they throw us out of here.
The rope bridge, was that character read?
Yeah. Yep.
My dad said I tried to push him off that.
It's a really cool bridge, right? I love it. What other questions you guys? Yeah.
The castle, Jimmy, I missed the name of it. Where is it?
That's in Neuschwanstein. It's in Schwangau.
It's not the one in the middle of the Rhine, then?
Middle of what?
The one that looks very similar to that in the middle of the Rhine.
No, it's not that.
Okay. You know what I mean?
I don't know the name of it, but I do know what you mean.
You had some whales, right, in Alaska?
The whales were from Maui.
You also shoot them on manual? Whales?
I shoot everything on manual. And you know what I do? I set my exposure, and then I wait for them to come. It goes back to my foundation. If I'm shooting on the boat, and I know that's another thing. If you're trying to catch whales breaching, holy crap, that's hard. Just make sure your shutter speed's fast enough so when they come up, you don't blur.
Did you say that site was the wedding planner?
Oh, wedplan.net. Now, if you Google that, they've now changed their name. But if you type that in, it'll come up. Wed, like wedding. Wedplan.net. Yeah.
Can you go back to the graph again?
Say again?
Go back to your slide, previous slide. Like,
John, what level of photography do you need to be at, and do you offer lenses or go to one of your workshops?
Great question. I don't offer any gear. I'd have to charge a lot more to do that. I wish I could.
I'm only asking because here they'll bring like a Canon or a Tamron or somebody, and they have them there to rent, or at least just even give a license so you get to borrow it. They get exposure. You can try out the lenses. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, but there are sources to do that. You can go just down to Sammy's and rent a lens.
Right.
And go to borrow lens. Oh no, absolutely. Go to borrowlenses.com. But in regards to the level, at any of my workshops, I usually have 3 or 4 assistants there. So it's very easy for the group that needs a lot more hand holding. Because there's always a split, right? There's people who are very comfortable in manual, and then people who are not. And so what's the word I'm looking for? we split up our group and help people. If someone needs a lot of hand-holding, I'll give them to Stephen or something, and Stephen will help them until they get up to speed. That doesn't mean we're in separate areas. It means he's talking to them where Jason is while I'm talking to the group.
When you're on one of your workshops, are we allowed to use your lights? Like when it gets dark and you start using flash and visual lights and things of that nature?
Yes. You're not allowed to actually handle them from the standpoint of moving them around, because I don't want to... Man, I would hate to go after somebody if they broke my gear. But, for example, I'll set up my roto lights on tripods, and then everybody benefits from the lighting. The thing I really love about like the Pro Flash, the strobies that I use, this is the only caveat I've ever made to it because it's the safest way for me to do it. The strobie trigger from Interfit, it will fire on Nikon or Canon. It's not specific. I love that. So at a workshop, we'll set up a shot. I'll just have my trigger around and people pop, pop, pop. Everybody gets really cool shots. And then you get to try it out. So yeah, yes, you benefit from all the gear, but you know, no, you say, hey Jason, I'm going to take your roto lights or your flashes and go all the way down the mountain. I said, no, you're not going to do that.
Well, we can bring our own gear though, right? If we
Yeah.
want to do something like that.
Mm-hmm. And normally what I'll do at a workshop is I'll bring 4 or 5 models. So if you want me to teach you something and you go off and practice it and then come back and ask questions, that's a perfect way to do that.
When you say Pro Flash, are you talking about that battery operated flash?
Yeah, do you have the stuff? Oh, hand that out, Stephen. He's going to give you something for think tank bags and for the Pro Flash.
Do you limit the people, the amount of people that go to work?
10.
To what amount?
10. Yeah, I decided because it's a great question, and I decided a long time ago because of the workshops that I went to, I did not want to have workshops where people couldn't learn. So it's not about money. It really is about creating an environment where people can learn. Because I went to workshops where there are 50 people. You can't learn that way.
Right.
Everyone's bumping into each other, hitting each other on the back of the head with lenses. It's horrible.
I was going to go to one in September, but the guy said there's like 25 people.
Yeah, 25 people. You're wasting your time. You really are.
I just want to say that the YouTube site is really good because Joyce first told me about you. I went to the site and I think I must have been on for a good 45 minutes just watching the videos you have. I mean, they're like, half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I've had people tell me they've been on it for like 2 days. Because there's a lot of content on it. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm serious. There's a lot of content.
I watch the same videos over and over.
Awesome.
Because you miss stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you miss something or you start rewinding.
Yeah.
They really are very informative.
What other questions do you guys have?
Do you have something maybe like a suggestion list for workshops with equipment?
Absolutely. We do a webinar a preparatory webinar before each and every workshop, and I have a whole presentation on there where it goes through gear and everything. And just so you know, vast majority of photographers come with usually a crop sensor camera and 1 to 2 lenses, and they really benefit.
We were waxing lyrical about the same age as that would need loads of crop sensors. Do you have any concerns about that? I mean, everything that everyone says looks like really good camera. Is it breaking the mold?
I think it is. I mean, that's why the best way to answer that would be talk to me on Sunday, because I really am going to leave my secondary camera in the bag. I'll take it, but I'm shooting the ceremony tight with the A6000 because so far the shots I've gotten with it are truly astounding. The quality's been phenomenal because I've actually taken them in and zoomed in like I would on my D800. And D800 is 36 megapixels. So I'm going to do a review between the 6000 and the 800, show you guys what they both do. Huh?
So you'll have a video.
Yeah, there will be. It'll be YouTube video, yeah.
Related to that, do you notice a big difference between the Sony and the Zeiss lenses?
I think the Zeiss lenses are better, but how much better? I think lenses are an issue, with Zeiss. I've never, like with my Nikons, I've never gone Zeiss. I've always sat with Nikon. So, I think Zeiss are overpriced.
Have you shot the wedding with the lens 24-17?
No.
2.8?
Not because I think it's a bad lens. I know it's one of the flagship lenses for wedding photographers. I've never owned one. I don't really, between me having the 105, The 105 I'll use for a lot of portrait work. I'll use it for a couple shoot. I'll also use it for obviously my detail shots, ring shots, all that kind of stuff. I'll use it for the bridals when she's getting ready because it's such a soft lens. You know, puts a really beautiful blur on her face bokeh. But no, between the 80 to 200. I'm not one of those guys that likes to switch a lot of lenses while I'm shooting. I don't like that. I think it takes away from your ability to shoot. I don't like doing that. Quite frankly, one of the reasons I'm looking at the 6000 too is I think the industry might change. I mean, people were pretty shocked. I got a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh, you're a Nikon guy, you bought a Sony. But I am very curious just because of the weight. Yeah. You know, I get harassed all the time when I fly about the weight of my bag. If I wasn't the highest level with Delta, I wouldn't get away with it. I really wouldn't. I use that card all the time with them. But it's a trouble. When you travel a lot like I do, weight is a huge concern.
How many bodies do you take for a wedding?
2. Yeah.
With different lenses, or is it just one of the backup?
One's primarily the backup. During a ceremony, usually I'll shoot with the 2 bodies, and then one will shoot tight while the other's wide.
Secondary shooter too?
A lot of the times I do. Steven shoots a lot for me as a second shooter. Don has shot. Both Don and Steven, by their own rights, are lead photographers. So when I bring these guys, it's a huge benefit to my couples because they're getting 2 leads.
Discuss prices, like what you charge.
Oh, typically my rates will start at $4,000, but no one ever buys that package. You know, that's what you do. You make a package that nobody will buy. So typically my rates will be, you know, between 7 to 11. Photographers will tell you they charge $20,000 a line. They are. And every photographer's flexible with pricing. I've spoken with them. So I'm just trying to give you guys a real world example. You know, if I have a couple who's getting married in January on a Wednesday, which believe me, it happens. I'm shooting Jason's wedding. He's getting married on a Monday. If he is. And
with you on the weekend, that's Monday.
Pretty much. I'm a slave driver. But if I have somebody who's calling me and they're getting married in January on a Wednesday, which I am shooting a Queen Mary wedding in January on a Wednesday, yeah, I'm going to give them a discount. Why wouldn't I? It's like, to me, it's like I feel like Lucky Charms. It's free money. Right, leaves my weekend open. Why would I think I charge them $4,000 for the whole wedding. What do I care? It's $4,000 I wouldn't have had anyway. So I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. I totally am flexible. I don't for $4,000. I think they have a 5-hour package. I give everybody 40 images for every hour that I shoot, and they don't get any. That does not include a second photographer. It does not include an album. Albums are usually between $1,500 to $2,000. I accept payment plans. There's a 20% retainer required. If you guys use ShootQ, you can actually do installment plans with all of your clients. And if you want to book more business, do payment plans. It'll automatically debit their credit or debit cards, and you don't even have to manage the process.
What happened just recently? You were posting something a couple weeks ago regarding
client not paying.
Yeah.
I have a rule that the majority of the bill has to be paid off, obviously, before the wedding, and the last payment has to be 30 days. I had worked with this client, not in any other manner, but I had worked with them during their engagement shoot, and they had paid me a couple $1,000 already, and they owed me, and it was for a beautiful. They got married at the new. I got to keep their confidential, but they got married at a mansion, really beautiful place, and I kept calling them and saying, "Hey, hon, I really need that money." "Oh yeah, no problem." And the thing that bothered me is she would kind of laugh it off like I was like a little kid asking for something. You know what I mean? And I finally said, "You know what? If you don't give me the money by Thursday at noon, the wedding's canceled. Period. And you lose your money. It's right in the contract. You're already in breach of your contract. You're supposed to pay me 30 days prior, so I could already cancel your contract with no recourse on your end." And so on Thursday, I kept sending her emails and texting her and calling her, and then Thursday at 11 a.m., I called her up and I said, "Hey, honey, you got to make that payment. I'm serious. I don't want to. I will cancel the wedding." And she went, "I'll do it right now." And I'm like, "Hello, your wedding's in 2 days, right?" And so and it was exactly that tone in her voice. And I said, "Okay, I'd really appreciate it. Would you like to go over your itinerary?" Or she goes, well, I want to go over the itinerary. I said, well, honey, I'm going to do that once you paid your bill. And so these guys will tell you, I sent them a text, and I waited, and they owed me $2,500 was their remaining balance. And so she called me up, and so then it hit 12:01, and I'm like, okay. 12:05, okay. Hit 12:10, I sent her a text. I said, you're canceled. No wedding for you. Like, no soup for you. And so literally, I sent her a text, and 1 minute later, her groom called me screaming. How could you dare do this? Now, how do you think I responded to that? You guys know me for 3 hours. How do you think I responded to that? He's like, well, I said, no, you didn't pay your bill. And now you're calling me screaming, causing me stress when you're 28 days past due. He says, well, how am I supposed to find a wedding photographer? I said, I don't know, Yellow Pages? He goes, I'll give you a credit card right now. I said, no, I won't take it. That shocked him. I said, I don't want the money. Now, why do you think I made that decision?
Because it'd be a pain in the ass at this point to shoot him, right?
Then when you shoot it, you're going to have to deal with all the BS.
Yes, but I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it was courtesy enough that they waited.
Seriously, right?
And if they didn't pay the day, 30 days before, one day after, that would have been it for me. But I mean, you did the courtesy enough to wait the whole day before and the day after the wedding, and they still, I would have just canceled the, but you did not leeway.
And I even put on my Facebook page. Yeah, and I put on my Facebook post. Of course, I kept it confidential who it was, but there's a couple reasons I posted on Facebook. Number one, I know that she's going to go around and lie. Oh, my photographer didn't show, so we had to get someone here. He did this or that. So I wanted people, if they Googled me, I wanted them to see, no, you didn't pay your bill. Okay? Control your presence. Don't let people talk crap about you. The other reason, two reasons I didn't accept it. First and foremost, our relationship is eroded.
Right.
I'm going to show up to the wedding. It's not going to work. I extended so much courtesy to her, and she didn't reciprocate. Second reason, I come from the hotel industry. There's a reason I do 30 days prior. I don't want to deal with chargebacks. She very easily could have done a chargeback.
What's chargeback?
Chargeback is where they dispute the charge. Because in her mind, I know what she was convinced I would, because I'm such a nice guy. She kept telling me, oh, you're such a nice guy. This is before I canceled it. And she was convinced that I would show up, she wouldn't pay me, and then I would still shoot it. She says, oh, fine, just show up on Saturday. This is on a Thursday. She goes, show up on Saturday, we'll give you cash. I said, no way. I'm not driving all the way out there, because if I'm standing there, you're a guest at the wedding, you're maybe a brother or something, and you see the photographer standing there, what are you going to assume? Hey, why is that jerk not shooting? What's his problem? Why is he not shooting? All of a sudden, I look bad. There's no way for me to win. I show up, and they do pay me, right? I show up. Oh, this is the jerk that was harassing them right before the wedding. Because, of course, they're not going to be honest. Here's the craziest thing. That happened. Literally, the next day, I get an email from a bride saying, my photographer just fell through at my wedding's in 12 days. And because I felt like it was a blessing from above, I said, I will do your wedding for $2,500. Because I felt it was a way of God blessing me, and I wanted to bless someone else, and I felt like it was a way of me being made whole. It was awesome. So, just, yeah.
Now, when that happens, how much of a percentage or how much do you keep from that? Because
I laugh because we had this conversation with a groom. He texts me and he says, oh, well, since you're keeping thousands of dollars of ours, we'll be booking some additional shoots. And I literally called him up laughing. And I said, dude, you're not getting a dime back. You lost your money.
now you're reserved for them.
I told him that. I said, I lost out on the date. See, I come from the hotel industry. You don't show up and they have an oversold situation, they charge you a no-show fee because they're out. You told them you were going to come and you didn't. And they couldn't understand that concept. He says, well, you still made thousands of dollars. He was so incredulous. He just said, I can't believe you're going to do this. He said, well, just keep your money then. Keep your $1,000 you didn't earn. Keep your thousands of dollars you didn't earn. And I said, I said, dude, I'm out $2,500 bucks. What do you mean? Keep my money. Of course it's my money. I'm out $2,500. So he says, well, what shoots are you going to do for us? I said, 0. Out. You're done. I said, don't contact me again. Treated him like a telemarketer.
How about your wildlife? What do you do with it? What is it? You sell it?
Yeah, I sell it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where do you sell it?
I have a gallery online, and then recently a lot of museums and stuff have expressed a lot of interest. But yes, I have a gallery. If you go to jasonlanierlandscapes.com, you can click on it and go right to it.
When you do weddings, do you give digital images or enterprise?
I give digital images.
High res or low res?
High.
You say you give about 48 per hour.
40 per hour.
They're already edited?
They are all developed. And that's right in my contract. They're all developed in Lightroom. I only take 5% into Photoshop, and the 5% have the signature look. That's the painting look. So outside of that 5%, they don't. And I never have a single client complain. Because I know how to shoot, the images look great. They look great raw. They look a little better developed, and that's it. Why? Right? That's a big discussion in our industry. Why would you give away images? It's called workflow. It's called workflow. I already charge enough for my time. And clients these days don't spend a lot of money on prints. I don't care what anyone tells you. Occasionally I'll get someone put a $600, I use Pictage or whatever, someone put the $600 order through, $1,000 order. Most people...
Thank you for coming. We are now closed. We have good night.
So I'll put together a few of those, and then, but yeah, I don't do anything else other than that. So,
Okay.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. You're welcome.
You know, typically there's a break taken. Nobody left.
That's awesome.
A pay break. Like I'm like dying here. I finally had to go at the end. Nobody left. This was great.
That's awesome.
I've never all the people I saw spoke here. I've never seen anybody do that. Just go straight through and nobody moved.
Wow.
Good job.
Thank
I gotta
you.
get to work.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. Take care.
Terrific.
Thank you.